And live. Welcome everyone to the 67th episode of Playtest This. Tonight we are welcoming Sebastian Sanchez with us as the featured designer, and then we have a whole slew of guest designers and playtesters. It looks like a lot of people, but only four of us are playing. Kif and Vasanth are joining and just watching, and maybe if they're around at the end, they can give us some feedback. Um, but first, Sebastian, tell us about yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Sebastian. I like to make board games, sometimes video games, and I also like to make food. I love eating. That's like probably my number one hobby. Um, anyways, this game is called Master Tactician. I've been working on this game on and off for almost 6 years now. And it's pretty much totally different every time I go back to working on it. I end up changing something. So a little disclaimer, a lot of the rules in this game are very fresh and in dire need of playtesting.
It's all
So
good.
hopefully it all runs pretty seamlessly. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's all good. That's what we do here.
Yep.
We've played games that are like the first playtest ever, and we've played games that have been playtested 100 times. So, okay, let's give everybody a brief hello. Sasha, who are you? What the heck are you doing here?
Hello, my name is Sasha Jelton. I'm a designer in Portland, Oregon. I started Playtest PDX, which I have a bunch of. We have a bunch of great designers in Portland, and I love doing events with all the great designers and sort of having all sorts of game jams and stuff. I also teach board game design to elementary and middle school kids, and I just love board games and board game design. So that's me.
I guess we'll let you be here. Eric, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I had the same question. No, I am Eric Ledger. I'm a board game designer by hobby only. I run the Sacramento Board Game Designers Meetup. I'm an attorney by day, board game designer by night. And the next thing we've got going on is if you're in the Northern California area, Conquest Sacramento is coming up in April, and our group is going to be running the prototype hall for that. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me or go to Conquest Sacramento.
Awesome.
So yeah,
No longer administrative law judge. The change has come.
that is correct. I'm now a lowly attorney at a higher level than I was.
Congrats. Congrats.
Yeah.
Brian, what are you doing here?
Hi, I'm Brian Piccarillo. I'm a board game designer out of the other Portland in Portland, Maine. I run Ember Leaf Games. I'm excited to play test this game. I've been waiting to do it for a couple weeks now. We have a brand new game called Fame and Fortune, which is right here, coming to Kickstarter in a couple months. I've been on the show a couple times. Check those episodes out and don't hold them against me. And I'll let you know when the game comes out.
Awesome.
Excited for today.
Hey, Brian's game is really cool, everyone. You should buy it.
Heck yeah. I've played it. I like it. I recommend. Vasanth, what the heck are you doing here?
Hi, I'm Vasant. I'm running a company called Maple. My day job is like making board game videos, and my hobbies are like playing board games and designing board games. I have started designing new games. All are in pre-prototype stage. So I try to make network with the board game people because here there is no much board game players here. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Kif, how did you end up here? Oh, all right. Can't talk. Fair enough. Kif ended up here because he is a board game designer making Dogville, and he's also a world-renowned actor. You can find him on IMDb, and that's IMDb. And we're glad to have you all here. Let's get into it. Sebastian, give us the teach.
All right, so here's the lowdown. So I want you to, I'll do a little bit of role playing here, okay? So put on your wizard hats or your shrouded hoods or whatever. So you're now sorcerers. That's what we're gonna call you. So we're all gathered around this table in our little bougie sorcerer dungeon. And as sorcerers do in their off time, they try to, challenge each other to a battle of wits. So they got like this board in front of them, and this board is fueled by magic. It changes with magic. So what they're going to do is use the forces of life and death to create pawns and place their pawns on the board, and then try to control the majority of the board either through holy or economic or military means, and then eventually prove that they have the best tactical skills out of all the sorcerers at the table, and then the winner will be called the Master Tactician, hence the name of the game. So yeah, that's the flavor right there.
All right.
So anyways, the very first step of the game is to create the battle board, which is this map that we have right here. Eventually, I'd like to figure out a way to program this step because it just takes a little bit of a second, but not too long. So the way that the first step to creating the battle board is you lay down your obsidian tiles. Now these tiles are a special kind of terrain tile because they're the only tiles which you can build shrines on, which are these guys right here. And I'll explain what those do in a minute. But essentially for a 4-player game, the obsidian tile layout's going to be like this. Now keep in mind, if you're playing with 3 players or 2 players, the map is smaller for each of those, so it kind of scales based on that. So I'm going to lock those in. And then, so I choose the terrain tile bag based on the number of players, and this has a random assortment of different terrain tiles. There's food, wood, stone, gems, and iron, which are represented by these resource cards. And then there's also desert and water tiles. So if you all want to help me, grab tiles out of this bag and just kind of place them into these grid slots to build the map. There's not really any particular order to do it. Any way that the board is arranged, the game should still be playable and relatively balanced. At least that's the goal.
I can totally help you with making this a button, by the way.
That would be awesome. And there's a couple other elements that I want to try to figure out how to code to, like drawing cards out to specific slots. Like I
My
saw you
knowledge
had
is
some of that with
limited.
yours. Yeah. Wow, look
I'll
at this.
try.
You guys are doing a great job.
This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is the
And-
game, right? This is
Yeah, this is on
Okay.
by itself would be a fun game.
Done.
Feedback
I love
time.
it.
Um,
Yeah, let's hear the feedback. For the physical game, the idea, I'm still kind of working on how I'm going to make this happen, but right now I do have a prototype where it's like a wood board. So it's a flat wood board and then it has like grid slots. So it has like another piece of wood on top of it that has like indentations. So the tiles kind of like stick into those slots. So that's the initial idea, but I'm still kind of trying to figure out the best way to do it. But that's something y'all can think about as you're play testing it. So now I'm going to lock all these in place so we don't accidentally pick those up. So I'm going to briefly go over what each one is. They are labeled if you hover over them. Water, it's the blue one. So water is, water. Your land pawns can't move on it. The only pawns that can move over water are galleys, which are your boats, and dragons. Dragons can move across any kind of tile because they can fly. So water presents kind of a natural obstacle to the map. Then there's desert. Desert is red because it can potentially be hazardous, but it's also good to be around desert because you can only build your bazaars on desert tiles. And bazaars are what allowed you to trade. So there's no player on player trading. I did have that at one point, but I took it out because it was kind of like with Catan, it kind of like drags turns out a little bit. So instead you can trade with the bank, but you have to have bazaars to be able to use that trade mechanic. And the reason why deserts are hazardous is because at the end of your turn, there's a sandstorm mechanic. So any pawns that you have that end their turn on desert are going to die. And I'm also going to point out this turn sequence card right here, which you guys can browse. And on the back side of it is the token actions. which says like all the things that your tokens can do per turn. So yeah, it's a lot of text crammed on to a little card, so I apologize for that. But that will change in the future. Also, another thing I want to point out before we start is that I want you to treat all this art as just concept art. So it is really cool. I kind of got to a point last year where I was going to try to publish the game, so I was paying for a lot of art to be made, but then I ended up changing a bunch of rules. So at this point, it's kind of just concept art to kind of like create the setting for the game. So yeah, there's that. Now, if you'll notice with the other terrain tiles, each one is color coded to match a resource. So we got food, which is yellow, wood, which is green, stone, which is white/gray, gems, which is the purple, and then iron, which is brown. Okay, that all makes sense so far? All right, so now the first thing we're going to do is determine the turn order to see who goes first. So everyone's going to grab 3 attack dice. Well, sorry, one person at a time is going to grab and roll 3 attack dice. And the cumulative total of the swords is your roll, and then whoever gets the highest roll is going to go first. So if you all want to just take turns rolling those and see what you get.
5.
Nice,
Alright.
pretty solid roll.
Sure, I'll go. 5.
Okay, 5.
5.
Oh, that's a 6. Well, maybe that was a 5. I can't count.
4.
4.
This is
All right,
rigged.
everyone who rolled 5, roll again.
This is rigged.
5.
Wow.
Rigged.
Oh
Ooh,
wow,
8.
2 crits.
That's it. 8, 8, 8.
Damn, don't use up all your good
4.
rolls early on. You're gonna want those later.
Yeah, right.
All right, so who got the 8?
I got the 8.
And what color are you?
Green.
Okay, green. All right. So Eric, you're gonna be going first. And so the turn order is gonna stay the same throughout the game. So the way it works is you begin the game by placing a castle, which is your initial headquarters right here.
Okay.
So castles are your headquarters because at the start of the game, they're the only settlements from which you can spawn your units, your pawns, except for galleys, because galleys are spawned from ports. So also, let me kind of give you your objective here. So you win the game in a couple of different ways. You can win by controlling 3 undamaged shrines. And remember, shrines can only be built on obsidian tiles. So this is kind of what your layout would be like if you had 3 shrines or something like that. So it's kind of like controlling the majority of the middle of the map. Then you can also win the game by controlling 15 income worth of settlements. And income is the number on the top right of your settlements. So castle gives you 3, port gives you 2, and village and bazaar give you 1. You begin the game with 1 of each settlement, so your initial income is 7. And so you have to begin your turn with 15 income to win, or control 3 shrines to win. And you start by only placing your castle, Eric, because everyone else is going to place their castle. And then the last player gets to place the rest of their settlements, and it goes back around. And then you place the rest of yours.
Snake draft.
Yep. And then there's another element to the castle is it can also collect 2 of the resources that it's on top of.
What?
But it's
Alright.
either that or spawning the pawn, but I'll get into that later. I tried to make it so you're not totally screwed over if you like mess up on your initial placement, so don't stress too much about it. Just kind of like go wherever you feel good. The only condition with the castle is it has to be in the outer 2 layers of the map, so it can't be like in this section.
I placed my castle.
And the other caveat I want to point out before you guys start placing all your stuff is that settlements can only be diagonal or further apart from each other. They can't be adjacent to each other. So if you have your castle here, you can't build any settlements in these tiles. However, that rule doesn't apply to shrines. So shrines could be placed like adjacent to your settlements like that. because shrines are a different kind of settlement. Anyways, rant over. That's a solid position right there. So now the turn order is going to continue to the left, and that is
Sasha.
is it Sasha? Okay. So okay, looks like you already know where you want to put your castle. Okay. And now next up is Halblonius. Who's Halblonius?
That's me.
Okay.
Evan.
Evan.
So do these different characters have any abilities? Or like does the builder build stuff? Or does he just do attacks?
Yes. The short answer, yes.
Okay, good.
If you flip over this thing, it kind of points out right now the
Okay,
builder is the
right.
only pawn with additional abilities other than
Okay.
attacking and defending.
Attacky.
And you're gonna begin the game with a builder too, but you'll put that down later.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to obviously do the best move, which is put a castle on the...
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait. Which one's...
We could place our castles anywhere on here, right?
As long as it's not in, it has to be in the outer 2 layers of the map.
Got it.
You stay on your side of the board, Sasha. You're doing fine. Just kidding.
I'm exploring.
So the last player naturally gets like a slight disadvantage because usually the first few players are all gonna try to be like spread out. So there might be like awkward placement with the last player, but they also get the advantage of being able to place all of their settlements at once. This unfortunately is not a legal move though, because it has to be in the outer 2 layers of the map. So you might have to get a little cozy next to somebody else. But now you get to place all of your other settlements. So you get to place a port, and the port can be on any resource tile that's adjacent to water. The village can be on any resource tile, and the bazaar has to be on desert. And then your shrine, you ideally would want to play that on like the closest obsidian tile to you. You could also put it on this middle one though if you want. If you're worried about it being so close to his castle, but it's up to you.
What's the village limitation?
The village can be on any resource tile.
Is this anywhere?
Yeah, theoretically you could put it like all the way in this corner. However, most likely the green player would just like move over there and try to capture it. So you ideally want to keep them relatively close to your castle so that you can defend them.
But I can't put it here.
Yeah, because that would be adjacent to your castle. There is a mechanic that I'll point out later on that lets you terraform the map though, so you can potentially move tiles around to build in places that you couldn't at the start of the game.
Whoa.
So probably like this
I don't have a
gem.
lot of choices there. I don't
Whoa.
have a lot
Yeah.
of choices.
I mean,
This is what
that's
it
a
is.
solid start, yeah.
See
And
how
then
it
the
is.
last thing you get to place is you're going to put a builder on top of your castle. Nice. All right, and now it's going to go reverse. So now, Evan, you place the remaining ones of your settlements in your builder.
It
If
felt
I,
strong to be able
if
to
I
put
build a
everything
port
all
right
at
next to
once.
his port, does that mean that our galleys are just going to fight each other a bunch?
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome, don't you think?
I don't know. Or should I go? Or is it better to have your own stretch of water?
I would say build it wherever you are, wherever you want domination of that particular sea or to defend. Because keep in mind, galleys are ranged, so they can like shoot inlands a little bit.
Whoa.
I've been trying to balance the combat so it's like not as overpowered as it used to be. So don't be too worried about just getting utterly obliterated. But really, we'll see what happens. This you could do, but I would be very wary of putting your settlements that far away. Ideally, you want to keep them as close to your castle as
Oh,
possible.
my galleys can't defend it? Oh, man.
Well, I mean, your galley could potentially defend it, but
I'll take your word for it.
really, I'm just gonna let you do whatever you want because I just want to see what happens.
No, it's fine. I trust you. Sort of. Okay.
You shouldn't.
Exactly.
I'm very chaotic.
Exactly. This village is going down here.
So the village can only be on a resource tile, and then desert has to, or
Oh,
bazaars
sorry,
have to be on
I thought the
desert.
village did not have a restriction. Okay. In that case,
Probably this stone or this gem would be your best bet, or this wood if you really want to push it.
going in the gym and the bazaar. It's gonna go.
Bazaar you could put on either of these two right there.
Oh, it has to be on the first two outside.
It
also?
doesn't, but it can't
Oh.
be adjacent to anybody else's
Oh,
settlement.
somebody else's.
Yeah. The main reason for that adjacency rule is to make it so you can't just win the game by building all of your settlements in a cluster. You kind of have to expand.
Mm.
So the port can't be put on desert. It has to be on a resource that's adjacent to water. So desert or bazaars are the only thing you can build on desert.
Ours do what again?
So bazaars, you can exhaust them to either collect 2 coins or to trade 3 coins for a new resource or 2 matching resources for a new resource. So bazaars are your only means of trading.
How bizarre.
Yeah,
How
No?
bizarre.
that is pretty bizarre.
How bizarre.
Yeah,
Um,
baby. No.
Wait, Evan didn't place a shrine.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm assuming you probably want to put it
Yeah.
there, unless you're crazy.
I mean, I think that's the end of me. I placed all of my.
All right.
Yeah, and then you just get to put your builder on top of your castle right here.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
get to hang out.
You can
But,
see how quickly the board starts to fill up and
Mm-hmm.
you start to get a little scared.
I'm not scared, but I should be.
All right.
Everybody's out to get me.
You can go there. Port. Village. Bazaar.
Nice. All right. So that is the game setup right there. So looks like it went pretty smooth. Everyone was able to place all their buildings, so that worked out. Now we'll see how it actually works out in gameplay for you guys. So we're now ready to begin the game. No takesy backsies at this point. Sorry.
Wait. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, put that diagonal. That's actually a mechanic. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Okay. So, just a reminder, the 2 win conditions we're going to play with today are you can win by controlling 3 shrines at the beginning of your turn. So that means you have to capture it, and then if you capture your 3rd shrine on your turn, you have to hold it until your next turn to win the game. Same with income. So right now you all have 7 income, which means you collect 7 coins at the beginning of every turn. And then if you build, like, for example, 3 or 2 additional castles and a port, that would give you 15 income. And then you'd have to hold that until your next turn to win. So essentially through this game, you're going to be trying to build settlements, which are going to give you more opportunities to do things on your turn. But you also have to keep in mind how you're going to defend those settlements once you build them. So you got to kind of balance offense and defense a little bit. So your goal could either be just going straight for building settlements from the start, or building a bunch of military pawns from the start, or trying to get shrines from the start. I'm briefly going to go over each settlement's ability, and I'll explain it more during the turn. It'll make more sense. So on your turn, you are going to essentially what's called refreshing all of your tokens, and your tokens are your pawns and settlements. So when you use the ability of a token, it gets flipped over and it's called exhausted. When things are exhausted, they can no longer use their abilities, but they can defend, but they lose to ties if they're exhausted and defending. This will make more sense later. So, for example, let's just start with your turn, Eric, and it'll just make sense.
Okay.
So right here we have the turn sequence. So the first thing you do is check for victory conditions, see if you have 3 shrines or 15 income, which you don't, because it's the first turn.
Yeah.
Then you
I
move
think it'd
on to
be
the second
broken if
part.
it were.
Dang it.
First player.
Cheater.
No. No. All
So
right.
now you get
collect
to
income.
collect income. Yep. So
All
you
right.
have 7 incomes. So that's going to be usually the best way to do it would be take a silver coin and 2 bronze coins. And you can just set that. I usually set them like kind of on top of my ledger or over in this area. Whatever works for you. So this is your initial like currency that you can use to get the ball rolling on your turn. So now you kind of want to set like an objective for your turn. So you have a few options here. I'll go over what each of your settlements do. Okay, so your builder, first of all, can be exhausted. So with each pawn, you can move them, and you can move them up to their speed stat, which is represented on the ledger. Builder has 3 speed. They move orthogonally, which means not diagonally. So it would be like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Or like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
You can move him and then perform an action. So I can go like 1, 2, 3, and then maybe like build a bazaar on this desert tile or attack a pawn that's right here. But if you don't perform an action with him right away, he gets exhausted, and he'll also get exhausted from using that action. The builder, so that's the first of the builder's ability is building. So you could build any of your settlements or a wall or a bridge, which are neutral buildings. Or he can also forage, which means you can move him up to a resource you want, like food, for example, exhaust him, and then you would draw a food card.
All right.
So now the castle, you can exhaust it to either collect 2 stone, which is what your castle's on, or you can summon a land pawn by paying its resource and coin cost. So you can either get the 2 resources or summon a land pawn. So you can only summon 1 pawn per turn. However, the next settlement, your village, can either collect 1 resource, in this case wood, or you can pay 1 wood and refresh any exhausted token that you have. So let's say I wanted to spawn 2 pawns. I could pay a wood, and then my castle would go get refreshed, and then I could summon another pawn from the castle.
What is a land pawn?
So every pawn has a movement type on the ledger on the next to their icon. So the shoe icon is land pawn, which means they can only travel across land tiles. The waves means that they're a water pawn, which means that they move across water tiles. And then the one where it's like the hood, that means that they're a breach pawn, which means that they can move through enemy pawns or settlements, which normal land pawns can't. And if you notice, the dragon is all 3 of those. The dragon can pretty much do whatever they want because they're a dragon.
So a land pawn is any of them except the galley.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the port can either collect 1 of that resource or summon a galley. And then the bazaar you can exhaust it to collect 2 coins or trade 2 matching resources or 3 coins for a new resource. And then the shrine, sorry, there's one mechanic I forgot about here. So we have these sorcery cards over here. I swear this is the last of it. So the sorcery cards, we're gonna shuffle and reveal those, and this creates a bank of abilities that can be purchased via your shrines every turn. And there's I think 7 different sorceries. So the way it works is you can exhaust your shrine and then pay the corresponding resource to collect that sorcery. So if I want this reposition card, I would exhaust my shrine, then pay a gem, and then collect that, and then repopulate that. All right, I think that covers everything. So Eric, if you want to try to go about your turn, and I
Sure.
can provide any guidance.
Can I move an enemy player into water and drown them?
So the compel card can only move pawns according to their movement type.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's less interesting now.
I did have that as a thing at one point, but it was a little too overpowered.
No, it's okay. All right. I will do the following. So I'm gonna move the builder over to food, and then I'm gonna have him forage, so I get 1 food, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to collect. How much iron do I get for using this?
So your port would give you 1 resource.
All right, I'll take an iron from there. And then I can get 2 resource from the castle.
Yep.
So that's 2 stone.
And it's up to you if you want to add the cards to your hand so they're face down so other players can't see what you're planning.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
The coins you can't really hide, they're just kind of out there.
Yeah, I already see Sasha looking over here.
Yeah.
I'm just- and let's see, I'm not gonna do the shrine, and then let's see, Bazaar will let me trade, right?
Yep.
So it's just 1 for 1?
So you can do 2 matching resources for a new resource or 3 coins for a new resource. Or you can exhaust the bazaar to collect an additional 2 coins.
Okay, all right, and then village. I'll exhaust that, I'll take a wood.
I think you took the entire stack of woods there.
Oh, oops. I was wondering why it wasn't
Oops.
going in my hand.
Cheater.
I can fix that for you.
Thank you. All right, took a wood. I'm exhausting the bazaar. Let's see. Okay, it just came up a second ago. Trade 2 matching resource or 3.
There's a
Now,
lot
when
of
I-
options.
Yeah, when I exhaust all these, I'm not gonna get their income next round.
So you will,
Okay.
unless it gets damaged. So it gets damaged if it's attacked successfully by an attacking pawn, and that essentially like skips that token for that turn.
All right, I'm not
Unless you
worried about,
refresh it.
I'm not worried about that for round 1, so.
Yeah.
There we go, that's it.
And you don't want to get a sorcery.
No, I'm good
Ideally,
right now.
yeah, I mean it's up to you.
No,
Ideally, like it's good to like, because normally you can only get 1 per turn unless you build additional shrines, so it is good to kind of start stacking them up. But I'm curious just to see how the game flows, however
I'm
you
gonna
want to
hold,
play it. So
I'm gonna
okay,
hold
sounds
off for
good.
now.
And then you announce that you're passing your turn,
I am passing my turn.
and you don't have any pawns on desert, so you skip the sandstorm. All right, making sense so far? Okay, all right. Sasha, go for it. So
Alright.
you start by collecting your income.
Yep.
It's gonna be 7 coins. And the ones you just took are 10 coins worth, so you're gonna want
Yeah.
to take the bronze instead.
No, I prefer the 10s.
I wish it worked like that in real life.
Okay. Oh. So interesting.
If you need any advice, you can just ask, but other than that, I'll just kind of watch and see what you choose to do.
And then mock you after you made your choice.
Damage things. Can things be removed?
Yes.
And how
So-
does that happen?
So the way combat works, we'll go over this real quick. So you can attack with the builder, even though they're like, so they only have 1 attack, 1 defense. But let's say you wanted to swing on his shrine right here.
Uh-huh.
So he has 1 attack, so you would take 1 attack die and roll it. Oh, okay, well that's a crit, so
Yep.
sorry, unfortunately that's not gonna count for you. So that would be 3 damage, and then who's that? Who's purple?
Right.
Brian. So then Brian would look at his shrine's defense stat, which I believe is 2. So he would get to roll 2 defense dice to defend. And okay, you get 4. So that would be 3 versus 4. The defender would win, and then nothing would happen. However, if he rolled like a 1 or 2, then he would lose, and then the shrine would get exhausted and damaged. And what that means is on Brian's next turn, instead of refreshing the shrine, he would just undamage it, but then he wouldn't get to refresh it unless he uses his village ability to do that. So it kind of sets him back. However, if you, for example, damage it with the builder and then move in with like an archer or something to shoot it, if something's already damaged and it takes damage, then it's destroyed and removed from the map. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of how combat works.
Okay.
And just one more thing I want to point out. With the combat, if something's exhausted, then it loses on the tie. So if you attack right now, then the defender has the advantage. However, if his thing is already exhausted, then the attacker would have the advantage from that.
Okay. And when where did it go? Summoning a land pawn. So that is a matter of paying whatever their cost is, and where does that appear on the castle space?
So you can spawn it on top of or adjacent to your castle, and then it will exhaust your castle as well.
Got it. And that land piece can then be used?
So it has summoning sickness. However, you can use your village's ability to refresh it.
Got it. So it will come exhausted. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And my village is on the gym spot. Okay.
So you could like forage for a gem if you wanted to like use that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything you get with just one iron.
Yeah.
But then there's also the trading mechanic with your bazaar.
Okay.
I'll shut up now.
Coins. Okay. And the bazaar is the trade 3 coins or 2 matching resources for 1 new resource. Is that like a rate thing, and you can do that several times, or you can only do that once per activation?
So using that ability will exhaust the bazaar.
But could I trade 6 coins for 2 resources?
Oh, so you can only do that once,
Okay.
and then it gets exhausted.
Got it.
But then you could refresh it and then do it again, theoretically.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna try and keep things simple for the first turn. I want to try and be aggressive, but I'll keep it simple. Okay, so village gets me my village resource. Oh wait, it can spend one of your villages on refresh one of your exhausted tokens. Our buildings are tokens, so they can be refreshed. Okay.
Yeah.
Port resource is iron. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna collect iron, collect gem, and I'm just taking the cards into my hand.
Yep.
Okay. Then I will and so the bow icon is obviously ranged. Is there just a set distance that ranged attacks are?
So ranged pawns, I'll just put this archer here, can attack diagonally or one away. So this is like what their range would be. And they can also attack adjacent too, so they can attack anywhere within that. But their range is blocked by walls. So if there's a wall there, you can't shoot over it.
And only walls, not buildings?
That's actually a mechanic I'm still on the fence about.
Okay.
I feel like a building would have walls in it, so it would kind of make sense that you can't shoot over a building. So we're gonna say you can't do that.
Okay. But okay, got it.
But you could shoot diagonally. So like if your archer's here and he has a guy there, you could shoot him like that.
Okay.
Well, sorry, I totally missed the range on the archer.
So it's one away, adjacent, or diagonally is the range. So it's like if a warrior has 1 range, which means he can only attack orthogonally, then archer has 2 range.
Attack.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And it's the same for the galley. They have the same range as archer.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Let's try to castle. I will collect 2 wood. And so I have wood, I have that. So what else do I want? I guess that. Sure. My builder's gonna come here and building buildings. I could build buildings. I guess I'll go here, and my options are build or forage, not build and forage.
Yeah.
Got it. I will, and build adjacent to where it's at.
On top of or adjacent,
Okay,
or rather underneath or
got
adjacent.
it. I will build a port here, I think.
That's a great idea.
And that will cost port is 1 wood, 1 iron, 1 of the gem,
Mhm.
and then 4 money.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if
Boom,
you can do it.
boom, boom, and then
Nice. Look at that high roller over
money.
here.
I put my money right under where my cards are. Okay. Spend 5, get back 1, and then I put
Nice.
that down. And do these go back to their supplies?
Yeah.
Okay.
And building the port's a good move because it's a very cost-effective way to get just an extra 2 income, which just puts you even closer to winning. So.
And then I still have my bazaar.
And then, so building that port is going to exhaust your builder and the
that's right.
port.
Okay. And then I will. So I still have $3.
So you could, if you wanted to,
buy
get a new resource, or also use your shrine's
what does the
ability to
shrine
get.
do?
So
Spend
you
a resource
exhaust
slot,
it, yeah.
corresponding sorcery. Okay, that's right.
And some of these sorceries are pretty strong. You'll kind of see later like which ones you might want to kind of lean toward.
I will spend 3 and get a food, and then spend that food to take the hand of God.
Nice. That's a good one.
So
And then I'll
spent my
repopulate
3.
this. Oh, so here's the terraform one. So terraform lets you swap the position of any 2 adjacent vacant terrain tiles. So like if you want to swap this water and stone, or this water and gems, whatever.
Got it. Okay. Shrine is exhausted. I think all of my stuff's exhausted. And so now I'm going to my end phase, which nothing happens.
Yeah. So pretty much unless you have a unit on desert, just kill it. Otherwise, you just pass your turn.
Got it.
All right. We're getting there.
All right.
I feel like after your first turn, it starts to make more sense. At least that's the hope. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so my castle takes 2 wood.
And the first thing you're gonna do, Evan, is collect your income if you didn't already do that.
I did not. Silver gold. So I get $7. Nope. $7. 2 wood. And my village is gonna get some iron, obviously. Right? Is that an iron or is that a gem?
That's a gem right there.
I wanted an iron. Where's the iron? Oh, it's that thing way out there? That's really far away. Okay. I'm not doing iron. Let's see. In that case.
If you really did want iron, you could somehow get this terraform card and then swap this iron and desert and then forage on that iron. But that's only if you really wanted it this turn. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of wasted resources. So I'm not gonna do that. Let's build. Okay. So my builder's going to walk over here and build a village. Oh wait, I need food. Okay. Does my port get me food? No.
Yes.
Lord,
So your port would
stay.
get you 1 food.
Bam. And then my builder goes over here and he builds a village for 3, 1 wood, 1 food. The builder goes face down. I put out a village. And the village is face down. And then I've got this bazaar, which I can... Oh wait, I had to pay $3 for the village, right?
Yeah.
So then, let's see. The bazaar lets me get a resource. The village lets me refresh a token. The village will refresh the castle.
Oh, nice. So you gotta pay a gem for that though.
You have to pay a gem for that.
Hmm.
Oh, pay 1 resource to refresh 1 token. Why does it have to be a gem?
It's because what your village is on.
Is the resource you pay.
Yeah.
Um,
So
okay.
there's a couple ways you could do that.
That's fine, that's fine.
You could pay
No,
3
no,
coins to
okay.
your bazaar, but yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. You can pay 3 coins.
The main reason for that cost is because otherwise I feel like it would be a little bit too overpowered,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you could kind of just like keep your turn going.
Yeah. Well, it would only be 3 coins to flip my castle back up, huh? Alright. And the place where I can make people is the castle.
Yes.
Okay. Village collects a resource. Shrine. Bazaar. Bazaar will collect 2 coins. Village. Will just collect a gem.
Are the sorcery cards play at any time?
So they have different icons on the bottom right, which could be an A or R for action or reaction. So the reaction cards can be played on other players' turns in reaction to certain events, and the action cards have to be played during your turn.
Got it. But any time during your turn.
And then I'm going to pay
Yeah.
a wood for this sorcery card.
Nice, and it gets repopulated with an overpower, which is a new one. So that one essentially just makes your opponent roll, like subtract 1 from their total during combat.
Before they roll, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then do I do anything at the end?
You just say you pass your turn.
Great, I passed my turn.
All right, we're almost done with the first round here.
Where
Take it
on
away,
a
Brian.
card, where does it say their range?
So the range is just an icon on the right side of the picture. So it either would have the swords, which means melee, or the bow, which would mean range. So it's
And
just
melee
either
is
they're
1 space away.
yeah.
North Ridingly. Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to do is take my money.
Yeah, get paid.
Then the second thing I want to do is use the bazaar to gain 2 coins. Then I want to use the wait, question. Can I summon a pawn on the castle regardless of whether it's exhausted or not?
Yeah, so technically it would be like summon the pawn and then exhaust your castle.
Can I use the castle to get 2 resources and then summon on it?
So collecting the 2 resources or summoning the pawn, those are each like actions that would exhaust your castle. So you kind of have to choose
Okay.
unless you end up refreshing it with the village, and then you could theoretically do both.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if the plan still works, but the village is gonna get me a gem. Then the port's gonna get me another gem.
So that's an iron that it's on right there.
Oh, it's when it's on.
Yeah.
It just says collect one resource. So it means collect one resource and it's on.
Yeah, I should have specified that, but it's whatever resource it's on top of.
Okay. Then I guess I'll use the port to summon the galley instead.
Rude.
Bold move. So the galley is going to get spawned onto an adjacent water tile. And it goes plunk or splash,
Do you have
and
the
then it
resources?
enters exhausted. Yeah, let's see the proof of purchase first.
It's let's see. Oh. Well, so it says you can do it, but you still have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that doesn't.
I could see how that wouldn't be intuitive. I should probably specify that.
Builder can move here and then collect the food.
Mhm.
I guess I'll just take the iron from this. Is the castle any two resources or just the one that it's on?
Just the one it's on. So that'll give you 2 iron.
Yeah, I think all buildings except for the bazaar can collect the resources that they're on.
Yeah.
I guess the shrine, I mean, it's on obsidian.
Yeah,
Obsidian's
that's
not a
just
resource.
it's just its own thing, just chilling there.
It's a different shape, I guess.
It's a good ship. Lollipop. Were you done, Brian?
No, no.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. You're
I just
good.
want to make sure you weren't waiting on me.
He's deep in thought over here,
Guess I'll pay.
trying to figure out how he's gonna kill you.
Pay this to use the shrine to buy
Resource would you pay?
intervene.
And so you'd
was
have
trying
to
to-
spend
I
a stone
paid
to
it.
get that.
Oh, it's the one
You
that's
get
on there.
whatever is, yeah.
Got it. I'll take this one then. That's what I paid. So,
It's a good card. Oh, and then there's another one. Look at that.
and this castle, I can summon the land guard, but I don't have any stone. So I guess I can just get 2 more iron.
Always good to save up for the next turn.
Is there a hand size limit?
Currently, there is not.
Okay.
There used to be, but I took it out.
Is there a purse limit?
However big your man bag is.
Okay.
Sorry, your satchel.
Well,
I think
that's a private. Sorry.
I think I could have done what I wanted to do if I knew all of the reasons that I was wrong ahead of time.
It's okay. I mean,
So-
it's only the
so-
first turn. Like, it's mainly just like the intro to the game, so not too much.
I was really trying to
yeah.
get a dragon turn 1, and I think I could have done it, but I
I think
didn't.
it is theoretically possible if you
Yeah.
get the right resource allocation from the beginning.
I pass.
Okay, all right. That's the first round of play. How are we all doing here?
Jam.
All right.
Hopefully, they'll move a little bit faster now that we all kind of know the gist of it. Let's recap here. So everyone count up your incomes really quick just to see where we're at. I'm pretty sure only one player built something.
I am now at 8.
I'm
Okay.
still at 7.
Oh, we
I'm
had
at
2.
9.
Blue built. Okay, so blue's at 9. So remember, you need 15 income to win or control 3 shrines. So that's where we're at right now. So now it's gonna go back to player one, which is gonna be green.
All
So
right.
now walk yourself through the turn sequence here.
So income phase, I'm gonna collect my 7, right?
Yep, and so the way you would do it is you would refresh them as you're collecting. So you'd be like, okay, 3 for this, 1 for that, 1 and then 2. So it's like as you're collecting the income, you're refreshing your settlements at the same time.
Okay. So that's done.
And then you would flip these over. Wait, are you green? What color are you?
Yeah, I'm green.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So you would flip these over.
All right, so now combat, not doing combat right now.
So
Builders.
there's one more phase.
Oh.
It's the upkeep phase. So now you refresh all of your exhausted pawns that are not
Oh.
damaged. So you'd flip over your builder now.
Okay.
All right,
Done.
and now you move on.
And it's the same thing as phase 1, right? I mean, it's a turn 1.
Yep.
Okay. So I will do the following. I'm gonna flip over this fort so I can get a steel or iron.
Sam says, very sorry he had to drop, by the way. His power went out.
Oh, no worries. It was good having you here.
Then I'll move builder 2 over here. And right here, I'm gonna build a castle.
Oh, I thought you were gonna attack a shrine. I was gonna get all hyped up, but a castle's also a solid move, especially right next to that shrine. That's dangerous.
Yeah. All right, so that's gonna cost 5 coins. 1 of those, 1 food, and 2 steel.
Nice.
All right,
Not too shabby.
that's all that. I'll put all that back, pay for it.
And then your pawn and your castle will both get exhausted.
All right, those are exhausted. Then I will spend 1 second. I'll spend 1 stone to build a wall. Where's the wall go?
So you have to build it with your builder. So he's exhausted right now. So
All
unless
right.
you refresh him, he can't build it.
All right.
And walls can be placed on any land tile, so any tile that's not water. And reversely, bridges can be built only on water tiles.
I assume they can't be built on a space with another token
Correct.
or building token, I guess.
All right, 1 second. Let me think this through.
How does a builder build a bridge?
So you'd walk adjacent to the tile and then spend a wood and exhaust the builder and then place the
All right.
bridge.
But
So
everything
can I-
else, he has to be on the tile.
No,
Can I-
he can be adjacent for other
Yeah.
buildings. That's what I did.
Can I
Oh,
spend
really?
the stone plus
I'm
2
In that
coins?
case, I would
I'm
only
assuming the
originally-
reason why he did it like this is so his builder won't get killed by the sandstorm at
Yeah,
the end
yeah,
of his
yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
Unless you just like really want to kill your builder.
No, I don't want. I want to build another builder. So I got
Oh,
Make
a
them
stone and
stronger.
2 coins. So I
Yeah.
could put a builder. Where can I put them?
on
Castle?
or adjacent to your either of your well, actually, so it would have to be an unexhausted castle. So currently you only have
Alright.
one of those.
Alright.
And then you would exhaust your castle and that builder. Nice.
Alright.
The builders are very underrated in this game because getting that extra resource from the forage or the extra building power is it's very nice.
All right, there's the builder.
That's a very good turn right there. And you're not even done with it.
All right, let's see what else I can do. So I can spend a wood to. I flip that. And let's see, pay a resource to refresh 1 token.
So you would
Right.
pay that wood.
Yeah, there's my wood. I'll refresh this builder. And I can attack this shrine, right?
You sure can.
Let's
That's
do
what you
it.
want to do.
Yeah.
All right.
Die versus
Our first
Buddha.
combat of the game.
Woo.
So if you look at your attack stat, which is a little measly 1, but you never know. There are
Yeah,
zeros
sure.
on the dice, as you've seen.
All right.
The assortment of numbers, it goes 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3. And it's the same for attacker or defender. But keep in mind that this shrine is exhausted, so if there is a tie, your builder will win.
Okay.
So you're gonna start by rolling. Well, at this point, you could play a sorcery if you had like an overpower intervention, but I don't think you have any.
I don't. All right. So I'm gonna roll my attack, right?
Yep.
Three.
Oh,
Yeah.
crit! Let's go.
Well, he can't. Or could
Oh,
he
okay,
do?
that was also a really good roll. So, defender got a 5, so unfortunately your attack is going to miss, and
I thought
your
it was one on.
builders.
Oh, I thought it was 1-on-1. Sorry.
So yeah, the shrine has 2 defense.
Okay. I see.
So they're pretty beefy.
That's all right.
But it was worth a shot. I mean, you got the best roll you could have gotten. Typically, if you're going to attack with a builder, you'd want to supplement it with like a sorcery card to give your
Yeah, it's
odds
fine.
a little bit better, but it was worth a shot.
Okay. Now I will let's see. I'm gonna resources 3 coins. I'm going to pay 3 coins. And get a food. And doesn't come in there.
Oh,
And then
put that
I'm gonna immediately spend my food to get the terraform card.
Nice. Oh, okay. Now this one is the resurrect. That's a new one.
Um,
So when you have pawns that are killed, they go into the graveyard, and then this one lets you resurrect them just by paying their gold cost. So even if you get a dragon there, you just pay 5 gold, and then you get your dragon
Now,
out.
can I use the terraform and put water underneath this right here? Can I switch these
So
two?
it has to be a vacant terrain tile, so it can't be occupied by a pawn or settlement.
Okay.
You
Nice.
could, like, keep in mind you can also move around obsidian tiles. So if you want this tile to be closer to you, you could pull that in, or you could block his port. Let's say by like moving
Mhm.
this desert here, then he couldn't build any galleys there, theoretically. Or you can make it so like, trying to see what else. If you're worried about him attacking you, you could like get rid of a land bridge or make it so their castle is next to
No, it's
water.
okay. I'm gonna go ahead and use the card. I'm gonna exchange this water and this desert.
Okay.
It's not
Oh,
pulling up.
sorry. I have to unlock them first.
There you go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
So what was your
Nice.
motivation behind that? Curious.
Yeah, it creates a lot more water. There's only one avenue going into my area now.
Okay. Fair
So
play.
I wanna funnel any land forces and build walls and defend.
All right. Not a bad idea.
And I guess that shrine got used and I'm done.
All right. That was a solid turn right there.
Okay. So I'll get my 9. Oh wait, I don't have any coins. I was gonna change. Then that and I feel like I feel a little under attack here.
His builder's looking pretty intimidating there. He's got a big hammer.
Well,
He knows how to swing it.
There's this
I'm just playing the game. I'm just seeing what's happening. That's
This-
all.
this
Get it,
dragon
get
talk
him.
with the person playing right over by my stuff. Okay.
He's like, what? No dragons? Or say anything
Okay.
about dragons.
I'd be worried about Evan over there. I think he's gonna connive and do
I'm
something
about
over
as
there.
far away from Sasha as you can be.
I think Evan's in a great position because I have 2 people worrying about me, and then Evan's just going to be over in his corner doing his thing. Okay.
We're a peaceful nation, okay?
The orange people come in peace.
We are a peaceful people.
He's over in Oompa Loompa land.
We are interested in just progress, peace,
That's your
and
game.
winning.
The Oompa Loompas are in your game.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
The Oompa Loompa defense, Your Honor.
Iron, that's gem. Wood. Iron. I have lots of wood production capabilities. What can I make use of with lots of wood? Archers. Bridges. And so having set defense, that's just like they don't roll, they just roll that number every time essentially. Like bridge and wall.
Oh yeah. So bridges and walls are considered neutral, so they're not owned by any player. So if you want to destroy a bridge, you'd have to roll 2 or greater, essentially.
Well,
What does the hood ability do on the characters?
So that means that it's a breach unit, and it can move through enemy pawns and settlements, which other pawns can't do.
I see.
village.
And walls also.
Oh, I need income, but I also want to defend myself. Well,
I won't attack you next round, Sasha.
we'll
Oh,
I
so you're
mean,
coming my way? I see how
He's
it is.
only got builders, like,
5.
builders really not that scary.
Yeah, builders aren't
Unless
scary, but the
he gets
person
another
talking
crit.
about a dragon, it's
Your
is
intentions
scary.
are noted.
I
Eric.
just wanted to see what combat was like, just to get a little
Yeah.
nibble,
Yeah.
just dipping my
Little
toe in the
nibble.
water.
Okay. Let's.
You dip your toe in these waters, they're sharks. No nibbles for you. That foot's gone.
I'll
Piranhas.
pay 3 for a stone.
Maybe I
and
should
then
actually create a piranha unit.
I will spend said stone to build a builder. And
It looks like Julie.
Your builder's going to be exhausted.
and then this port is gonna. Do I want to collect wood with that port?
You're so quiet over there.
Go. And Brian, what are you trying to do? Let's collect an iron, and then we will build a galley.
Oh, that's scary right there.
Damn.
And pay my
Galley
4.
time.
And that's going to exhaust your galley and your port.
My village. I think I'm just gonna collect resource. And I think interesting. Building up resources is probably a good idea, but I'm not in here to build up resources. I'm gonna spend this to get this. And then I will move here and collect a food, I think. Oh, I had used my shrine to do that. So I think I'm tapped out for the turn.
All right, solid turn. Now it's Oompa Loompa Kingdom,
My turn.
the orange pluckers.
Okay, so. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So how much income was that?
That was 8.
8. And then you get to refresh your
Yep.
settlements.
Do, 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 do. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. I'll pick up some wood. Can my people walk on my buildings?
Yeah.
So I'll grab some wood. Whoop.
You get a little scared over there, Brian?
It's fine.
You got a rough
You'll be
starting
alright. You'll be
position,
alright.
especially with that galley there.
You'll be alright.
I wish I had my dragon. That's all I'm gonna say.
I just see your little purple glove, like, moving around. I get scared.
Let's see. My castle is gonna make a person, because that's how castles work. And that person is going to be that's a tough call. Person is going to be an archer or a saboteur. It's going to be an archer. Whoop. So that goes right there. And that costs me a wood and 3 gold. And then I'm going to flip. Let's give the bazaar. Get me a gem, right? A gem? No. A wood. The bazaar is going to get me a wood for 3 gold. Womp. And then the village is going to flip my castle back up. And my castle is going to make an archer.
Nice.
Whoa.
And you could put the archer adjacent to the.
Oh,
castle.
really?
Yeah. So you can't stack pawns on top of each other, so you'd have to put in a other spot.
But you can put them adjacent.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Not diagonally adjacent, though.
Yeah.
I assume.
And the desert would kill it.
Whoa. Okay. Then, let's see, the port takes food. Okay. Yep. And this village takes stone.
They're stacked So you won't
I'm
be-
just gonna, yeah.
Wait. Did you take all my coins?
Oh, were those yours? I thought they were. You tried to put them in the bag, but they got tossed back out. Like the ticket machine at Chuck E. Cheese's.
Oh, well, if they weren't sitting over here one by one, then they were gone.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not going after your
Mm,
precious coins.
It seems like you were, though.
My precious.
And then my shrine, obviously, is going to take a resurrect, because that's going to be important.
Good card.
Give me that dragon. Somebody make a dragon for us to kill.
What is a
Uh,
damaged token? Destroy a damaged token.
a building that has a damage token on it.
So
Oh,
or
okay.
a pawn. Building or a pawn.
Oh,
Done.
Okay.
I announce done.
All right.
Okay, so I get 7 monies. Then I flip these over. And I use the bazaar to trade 2 matching resources of this for a gem. Then I use the builder to collect food.
I see where you're going with this.
Then I use my reposition to move him to here.
Nice.
Then I use the port to get another iron. Use the village to refresh the builder.
Do you have a gem to spend to refresh?
I'm paying. That's I'll just do it this way. I'll just get the gem that it's on top of. Right?
So it's either or. So you would either collect
Yes.
the gem or you would use its ability to refresh something.
Alright, so I'll just collect the gem.
Okay.
But in that case, I want to move my builder here
Whoa.
because I'm not going to use him.
Whoa.
Okay.
Offer him up,
And-
offer him up as a sacrifice to the Oompa Loompas.
I see how it is.
That's true. The Oompa can reach pretty far. All right. The shrine is going to just pay 1 of anything, and I get the thing underneath, right?
Yep.
Cool. So I'll pay iron. Grab a compel. And then pay 2 of these, 2 of these, 5 of these for a dragon.
Whoa.
Put it here.
Nice.
I knew he was going
He
for that
comes in
dragon.
exhausted.
and you could spawn that dragon here if you wanted.
Did they die in the
So
I thought he has to
also,
spawn on his castle.
No,
so
he can spawn adjacent.
also keep in mind you could put him on a water tile too if you want, because he can be on any type of
Or
tile.
here.
I'm not putting him in the desert to die.
desert?
I'll put him here though.
And they have 3 speeds, so you can get around pretty well.
Dragon.
But he's exhausted right now, right?
Correct.
All right, that's my turn.
I don't
Nice.
like
All right.
that.
Okay, so
Alrighty.
that's 2 rounds.
Why would
Now
you
we
put
go
that
into the
dragon
3rd round.
next to me?
So I get 1.
I'm not trying to
2.
win, Evan.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm that kid in Gattaca that doesn't care if he swims back.
You see how it is.
So I
You
get
see
10
how it
income.
is.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to flip this castle and flip this castle, taking 2 stone, 2 gem. Then I'm going to flip the village and collect the wood. 1 second here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That guy's moving over 3. And I will spend. Oh, I need iron. Flipping that for an iron. But I'm gonna immediately spend the iron, the gem. The wood, and 4 coins to build a port.
Nice.
Here's 5. I'll take 1 change. Give me a food source. All right. I will spend 1 stone. I want to use this builder to build a wall over here. Can I do that?
Where do you want to build the wall?
I don't know.
So you
Can I
can.
build it? It has to
Is,
be an adjacent square.
is your
Well,
builder
it can't be
exhausted?
on the building.
No, I just exhausted him by saying I'm building a building.
So yeah, any adjacent square, or I guess orthogonal square would be the correct
And
terminology.
Where's the wall token?
So that's gonna be right here. These are double-sided bridges and walls. The
Oh,
wall is the
they're
blue
neutral.
shaded one.
hold on. Okay. Oh, I see it now. Sure. We'll put him there and then exhaust that. And then I got my bazaar. I can collect 2 coins or spend 3 for a resource. 1 second. I will spend 3 for a resource and collect some iron. So that'll be expended. Actually, before I choose iron, let me see if I want one of these. I'm good. I am taking the iron and I'm spending 3 for that. So I need 7 change. That's done. Last thing, I will flip the shrine, spend my stone and get an intervene card. And everything's exhausted. I'm done. Pass.
So can multiple units attack at once, or is it only one at a time?
Yeah, so it's one at a time.
Got it. Yeah, it seems like things that have high defense, like just having lots of units doesn't make it any easier for you to get through that.
Yeah, so the best way to overcome that would be through these sorcery cards, like the overpower and the one that he just drew, the intervene.
And this is decreasing that value by 1, not the number of dice by 1, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
It did used to be the number of dice. But for example, like the builder only has one die, so
Yeah.
it would have made him just not roll at all, and I'm still kind of on the fence with that, so.
This doesn't seem very powerful at the moment, especially since you have to spend it before you roll. Or do you can you spend it after the die rolls?
So you spend it, you use it at the beginning of combat, so it's kind of like a gamble mechanic.
Got it. Yeah. Compared to ones that will do what they say, having one that like is likely to not do very much. But yeah, anyways.
I will say, like, the margin of winning a dice roll is usually pretty small, so it can sometimes
But yeah,
even the odds.
Rolling 2 dice versus 3 dice, the odds on average they're going to be rolling at 1.5 to 2 more than me. So just reducing it by 1 is not going to. I don't know. That's just how I feel about right now.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. I'm definitely open to potentially buffing that. if we
I don't
feel
mean
like
to
it
be
needs
getting into feedback stuff now. I'll
Oh,
get to
no,
it
you're
later. We
good.
can talk about it.
No worries.
Okay, so I have 9. I'll just take the 5s, I guess. Well, let's go. Oh, try this one. Let's go to. I'll try this. Reposition.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Teleporting boats. Let's
You know, because
go.
magic.
Yeah, I like it. And I think I'm going to attack the builder.
Solid choice.
They can attack diagonal?
So
thought only-
they have
only
they have
archers.
range.
Oh, well.
They
So
have the-
galleys and archers are the 2 ranged students.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Eric.
No, it's okay. All right, so what is the builder?
die.
One die. All right, go ahead.
So before you roll your dice, technically you're supposed to wait and see if anyone wants to play any
Are
sorceries.
you gonna play any sorceries?
Well, it's intervene. It says play after attacking or
Oh, okay.
defending. So,
So the
I'll-
overpower is the one that you would have to play like
Yeah.
at that stage, but yeah.
yeah, I'll wait and see. But you already rolled a 1, right?
I rolled 2.
Oh, you
Can
rolled
I
2?
technically compel one of them to move away before they're able to actually attack him?
So the compel is an action
All right, 3 defend.
sorcery, so it can only be used on your turn.
All right, I defended with 3.
Damn.
Damn, that
Oh.
builder is he's just been lifting every day. His hammer
Yeah.
weighs 200 pounds.
If I had a hammer, a hammer and no.
You could, if you really wanted that builder dead, you could refresh him with
That's what
your
I'm gonna
village.
do.
Nice.
Just because I want to see.
Well,
kind
it
of
looks like
what-
our truce is over.
I mean, you are in a very strong position
Oh,
at the moment.
2.
Man,
rough,
this sucks.
rough. But you win on a tie, so unless he gets another 3, he's gonna get damaged. So you get to roll, Eric.
Wait, how is he attacking me now?
So he refreshed his
refreshed my
galley
galley.
with his village, so he
And
could
then
attack
I'm
again.
attacking again.
Okay, I'm rolling.
Alright, there
One.
it is.
Hold on, I got an intervene card.
Okay, alright. Sending
I'm
it
gonna
for the
I'm,
crit.
s- I'm
For the
doing
1
it.
and 6.
It's not, yeah, I mean, it's been working out pretty well so far. No
Three.
way!
3.
Yep. Okay.
You done, son? You done?
Oh my god.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
Okay, okay. And that's RNG for you folks.
Okay. Let's.
Oh man, that is
Um,
crazy.
Well.
That's a very tempting temple you got there.
Man.
Feels really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that I
uh,
can imagine how that would
Let's
feel bad.
see. I guess I will.
You could swing
put
on
my
his
wood,
builder with your builder.
And hmm. I'll go. That. Okay, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, get a gem. And then go go. Guess I'll get an iron. Um, and um, we would. Um, and um, guess I'll move here and make a port.
Nice.
For each of these three, and 4 money.
I can put those away for you.
And then I guess I'm gonna buy an overpower. I still don't love it.
It's seeming a little bit more tempting now.
Well, I mean, yeah, it technically would have allowed me to win, but it also shouldn't have had to be needed. And playing multiple sorcery cards for one combat feels okay. Anyways, I think that's the end of my turn.
All right. Orange player.
That's me. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
No.
I was going for Chicago.
Eh,
5, 6, 7, 8.
eh.
All right. All right.
Lipschitz. Okay. It's one of the characters. All right, forget it.
I know the story.
Schlitzweitz. Oh wait, nope, that's a different person. Okay. So we got this dragon coming in on us, huh? Well, I don't like
The dragon's
that.
just chilling there.
I doubt it.
He's just like asleep while floating above the water.
I doubt it. So
Eric, Evan, I'm not your enemy.
it seems that you are. Otherwise, why would this dragon be right here?
It is just as close to you as it is.
Nope.
Actually, it's closer to you, but
Exactly.
it's just a misdirection. It's just a misdirection.
Can I shoot across things like
Here
other
we go.
units? What's that?
Yes.
Yeah. And other buildings?
So we're gonna say that you can't shoot through settlements for this playthrough, but
Is
I'm
a
open to potentially changing
shrine
that.
a settlement?
Yes.
Okay.
But you can shoot diagonally. So like theoretically, if you moved here and wanted to shoot the builder, you could shoot. Theoretically.
Yum. Okay, let's and the archer. Can archers pick up resources or no?
Only builders can do that.
Only builders. Okay. So we're gonna go. My archer has a defense of solamente uno. So builder's gonna go get iron. Wadonk. My people cannot stand on each other, right? That's what you said.
Yes, they can pass through each other, but they can't end their turn on each other.
This archer is going to move up here and then shoot this village.
So it's gonna be a 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
So you're gonna start it.
I mean, you built a dragon. So 3.
All right, solid 3.
I have 1 die, right?
Yep. Oh,
Oh.
but here's the thing. So the village is exhausted,
Oh,
so
so
it's
I-
actually gonna lose on the tie.
Oh.
So you would get to put a damage token on top of it.
Yeah.
Now.
And then this guy's going to come over here and do the same.
Now, could you explain what the damage token does again? I'm not sure I recall that.
Oh,
It's like half
The
of
dead
its health.
village right
It
there.
will regain its health at the start of your turn, so it needs to be dealt essentially damaged twice before your
Yeah.
turn comes.
so it also essentially is gonna cripple that token for their next turn, so they don't get to use it unless they refresh it. with
Alright,
their
so
village.
you won't get income from that token?
You won't collect income, and you won't be able to use its ability unless you refresh it.
But
Okay.
I just hit it again.
So, sorry, Brian, but your village is dead, and you're gonna have to take your token off the map.
It's the village of the damned.
That's brutal.
Okay, now I think I know where that dragon's going.
I
Well,
already,
now it's definitive.
I already knew where that dragon was coming. Preemptive
It
strike.
was just for defense.
Uh-huh. Yeah, with that 2 defense, that's what the dragon's for. That's what the dragon's for. Let me see. What have I got?
And
I've
both
got-
the archers are gonna get exhausted from attacking as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
There.
yeah. That makes sense. I'm gonna do a. I don't have that. When would you use a sentinel?
So sentinels are really good at defending.
Yeah.
So they're the only pawn with 3 defense, which
Uh-huh.
can be very strong. So
For
essentially
the
you'd want to
purposes
get
of.
so you'd want to get a sentinel out onto like a settlement that you really don't want to die. Like for example, Brian's village right here. If he had spawned a sentinel or even repositioned a sentinel over there,
Uh-huh.
it would have made it pretty much unkillable unless
Why?
you got pretty lucky. Because they would get to roll 3 defense dice.
What if you're just attacking the village?
So you have to attack the pawn that's on top of the settlement
That's the info I
attack
was
the
missing.
song.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sorry.
That
Yeah,
was
that's a thing,
that
guys.
was the missing info. Okay. I was like, what does a sentinel do? Why would I ever use that? Got
Yeah,
it.
they're actually like really good.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of forgot that one.
My what do we want?
Yeah, so retroactively speaking, I guess for Brian, if he wanted to have defended that village, he could have put his builder on it to
No,
kind of
it's
like
okay.
give an extra layer of defense.
It's
But
like, no, it's got
alright.
dragon. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
for
It's
future reference.
I'm gonna make a warrior, which is a food. Oh, I don't have a food. My port's gonna make food. And I'm gonna make a warrior. Right.
When you said the builder could defend there. That was like if he chose not to leave the builder on the spot that he was at, and instead of leaving it there to use the action there, moved it onto that space during his turn, or is it when you get attacked, you get to move things around, kind of thing?
So if he had
Move.
ended his builder's turn on the settlement,
Got it. Okay,
then he would have
it
defended
was
it.
got it. But he specifically wanted that resource or whatever.
Well, I couldn't put it on the gem because the card I had said it had to be adjacent to somewhere I had, not on
So-
top of it.
I think it says on top of or
Get another
adjacent, but
gem.
Oh, yep, I can't read.
yeah,
Cool.
but it's okay.
And then I will spend my stone to
This is
bring
all
my
a learning experience.
castle back. And then with said castle, I will make. I've got we'll just pay 3 for a wood, and then make another archer. Yeah. Boink. And that is. Oh wait, I never used my sweet power. I am going to use this to take that sorcery card. And then I'm done.
All right. Revenge of the Purple. Let's see what you got.
So, if I want to attack a shrine and there's an archer on top, does this game have trample?
So theoretically, the best way to do that would be to compel it off of the shrine if you have a compel card. Oh, there it is.
Whoa. Rude. Rude.
Well, let's start there, Evan.
It's a start.
Rude.
Actually, can I have 2 people in this space? They can't be on each other, right?
Yeah.
Can I move the builder, collect, and then move it again?
So once you perform its action and it becomes exhausted, it can't be used anymore to move.
You'd have
if
to re unexhaust it. Move
Right.
it again.
Okay. Let's collect 3. Let's see. I'll pay 3 coins for the bazaar to get a new resource of food. And use the shrine and the food to buy Hand of God.
Scary.
Then move the dragon to here. And then attack the shrine with the dragon.
Rude.
Alright, it's gonna be 3 attack dice.
Hold on.
It's a terrible roll.
Too late.
Were you gonna play an overpower?
I
Evan?
was.
Oh,
No.
you still can.
It's all good. I don't want you to re-roll anyway.
Oh,
Damn.
2. That. Oh, okay. That's
I
okay.
was gonna
Good thing you didn't
laugh
play
when
your
it was a
overpower.
critical fail.
Oh,
Funny.
that sucks.
So there's nothing happens.
So, yep, nothing happens and
Your
your
dragon
dragon
gets
gets
exhausted.
exhausted. That sucks.
It's okay. I use this guy to attack this guy.
Whoa.
Okay, that's a 1v1 with
Um,
advantage.
I will overpower.
All right, well now it's just a 1v1. Oh, okay,
Ooh,
that's
so
a crit.
That's a 2.
Yeah, that's a 2
Yeah.
essentially, but it would win on a tie, which it does.
Oh, it does
So
win on a tie.
because your guy's exhausted, so now the
Um,
archer's damaged. So you get to put,
hold on.
yeah.
I'm gonna intervene
Oh, okay.
on his
Go for the
attack.
crit.
Yeah.
See if you can pull an Eric.
Well, not on his own die. I think.
Yeah, on the attack die, yeah.
So you can only
Don't-
intervene on your own die.
It does
Oh.
say attacking
So
or defending.
the reason it says allied die,
allied die. I see.
Oh,
so
that's
that's if
mine.
there's different game modes where it's like
Oh.
2v2 or 2v1, so you could roll for your teammate
Oh,
essentially.
I see. Okay.
Interesting.
Nope, that's okay.
All right, so Brian, if you want to place one of those damage tokens on his archer.
Spell wasted.
Yeah. Well, mine, as you saw, mine was also wasted. The castle will just give me 2 iron. And the port for another iron. Eric, how close are you to winning?
See, you worry about your own little game over there. Don't worry about me.
Hold on, I'll just count it. Hold on.
He has 10 income, right?
Okay.
Or-
then
So I
I
was
do
just
have
gonna
one.
say, if you guys want, we could just play one more round and then go into feedback because I haven't totally balanced
no.
like the win conditions, so I don't know like how long it would drag out. I know Brian,
it's
it's pretty late
12.
for him.
Yeah, sure, that sounds great.
Or we could go into feedback right now, unless Eric, you're brewing something up you want to try out.
Oh, it's all right. I'm a castle away from winning, assuming nobody is able
Yeah.
to defeat me. So I plan on building a
You
castle
could
my
build
next turn
A
for the
castle?
win.
I thought you
there or
only
here.
had 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it right here so it's less
He has
vulnerable.
12.
Well,
and
then.
15.
Oh, it's 12.
So
Yeah.
in that case, you would build a castle and then have to defend it for the turn. And
Yeah.
then depending on where you build it, I mean, you're pretty well fortified, so you honestly would probably have a good shot at winning there.
I think
I'm
so.
okay with if we played one round, you built the castle, and then if you lost, we all win. And then if you win, you win.
All right, I accept.
I think
mean,
for the sake of time, we should just
Yeah.
go into feedback and
Okay.
call it a draw, leaning in Eric's favor.
What? No, I'm just
Okay,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's fair too.
I
so
was excited to take out this dragon.
yeah, yeah, that was gonna be a war right there.
Yeah.
So before we go into feedback, I kind of want to just thank you guys all for playing this game and sharing your time. I really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure to meeting all of you. In terms of the game itself, I am totally open to all sorts of feedback, critique, new mechanic ideas. It's really at a point right now where I'm just taking my time developing it, and I just want to make it the best project it can be. So all ideas are welcome. I haven't worked on this game for about a year before like 2 weeks ago, so I just came up with a bunch of new rules, and it's like totally different than it was a year ago. I feel like the main thing that needs balancing is like the win mechanics. I feel like the turns took a really long time, but that's also because you guys are like learning how to play, and there's no sort of like turn timer or anything, so that's also something I have to figure out. I'm also thinking maybe there should be some kind of like military victory where like if you kill a certain amount of pawns, then you can win. Because like I'm looking at Brian, for example, he got like a really unfortunate starting position, so it would be cool if there's like some way that he can like get an advantage just by being around a bunch of people, potentially. Anyways, that's my 2 cents for that. So yeah, we can open up to feedback now.
Cool. All right, let's do it. Who's first?
I can go first.
Cool.
Okay. I don't have a lot of notes. I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. Let's see. I had a similar sort of situation, and the game that I had a kind of a little bit of a complex setup. And the note that was given to me, and it worked really well for me, was to put in your rule book for your very first game, here's your recommended setup. That way people don't have to know I have no idea if I'm putting my castle in a good place, the village in a good place, whatever it may be. It might, although you're going to have a problem with that with the randomized board. I don't know how you'd fix that, but I'll give you that note is it would probably help with onboarding if you just told people what the hell to do for their first game as far as putting what where.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I could just have like a preset map and
Yeah.
set up for like depending on the player size, so that wouldn't be too hard. And
Yeah.
I definitely feel like that's a good idea.
I mean, I didn't have too bad of a problem catching on quickly, but I could definitely see other people having problems catching on as far as analysis paralysis, first game setup, not knowing what to do. Yeah, I thought the game had a lot of downtime in between turns. I felt like it was probably 10, 15 minutes before it got back to me.
Yes.
I know some of that's tabletop simulator, some of that is, it's your first game. But I think even if it was, cut 5 minutes shorter, it's still too long. Have you considered any sort of in the first one that comes to mind, not to say that it's good or bad, like terraforming Mars, where you get 2 actions, then you get 2 actions, then you get 2 actions, and once you're exhausted, you're done for the round. Something like that. Or I'm sure there's other ideas out there for having more, not necessarily simultaneous, but less downtime in between turns.
I
Would be
Yeah, I think that's great feedback, and I definitely agree with all those points. On the top of my head, potentially something I could do is separate the resource gathering and combat potentially into 2 phases, or
Mhm.
like you were saying, have a certain amount of things that you can exhaust per turn. I'd be open to any other ideas that you guys have on that, but I definitely agree that I would like to allow players to be as involved as they can at any point in time. Potentially even adding more sorceries that can be played reactively, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I did use like the defense dice mechanic to get players at least involved a little bit on their turn, but I agree like there could be more for sure.
yeah. Another mechanic that could work well for that is the Terraforming Mars Ares expedition mechanic, where you've got the 5 phases and everybody selects what phase they want to do, and then you just resolve them all at the same time. So if people want to get income, you're getting income, etc. I don't know. That's another idea to look at.
Okay.
Thematically, I wasn't getting the wizard story that you told at the beginning wasn't coming out thematically through the gameplay as much as I thought. To me, it felt more like a mix of Catan mixed with kind of just generic sort of battle.
Yeah.
The only wizardry part of it were the spells here that you could cast, the sorcery spells outside of, and that was kind of more of a side element to me. The stronger thing that I was doing and what I was focusing on economic win. And that to me, I didn't feel like I was doing anything wizardry when I was focusing on my economic win. So
I agree with that. In
yeah.
fact, the theme is something I've been struggling with, and that's primarily because I came up with the mechanics before the theme.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel like I need to kind of tie that all in better in some way, or maybe just make it so you're just like a king ruling the civilization instead of
Yeah,
a
sure.
wizard.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
start from there and then take it however you like, well, whatever game you want to create. Um, and then on the topic of Catan, and this might be personal bias, so I'm going to give you this note from my personal opinion. and maybe other people can chime in, but I'm not the biggest fan of the squares. I was thinking that this game would lend better to hexes.
I've heard that before.
Only because I don't know why, and it could be personal bias. For me, the squares and the orthogonal movement when you're moving just feels old school. And not in a good sort of way. And so that I fully acknowledge that could be my own personal bias, and it might not be the majority opinion. So, but I'm just giving you that note from my personal feeling. Yeah, the idea of not being able to move diagonal, it feels like an artificial constraint is kind of what I'd put down here.
Okay. Yeah, I have heard that before, and that is something that I personally would like to keep the square shape of the board because I feel like that is what makes it unique in a way because there are a lot of hex-based things. However, I feel like it could potentially benefit from diagonal movement. I
Yeah,
did experiment with that a little bit, but I ended up taking it out just by giving pawns more movement than they had before.
okay.
And also because, like, for example, if like your galley's here, like, would it be able to travel in between that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Honestly, like, I'm very flexible on the rules at this point, so I'm open to experimenting with it with any of that stuff. I would ideally like to keep the square shape. For me, the main inspiration was like turn-based strategy games like Fire Emblem,
hmm
um, what's it called? Advance Wars, stuff like that. So that it is kind of old school, but I guess that's just where I got the inspiration from, so it makes sense. that
yeah. Like I said, it's more of a personal opinion, and I'm not necessarily saying it needs to change. It was just something I just wanted to express to you. So if you hear it from 100 other people, I don't know. Last note that I had, and I know you said that the art was semi-temporary, but I've got to bring it up because I kept
Yeah,
laughing.
I was gonna say the same thing. I know exactly what you're gonna talk about.
What is it?
Oh, you got
The
a couple of cock and balls going on,
yeah, the food
Are you
card
talking
looked,
about the food card?
yeah, I mean,
and the
was
stone
it
also a little bit.
was it
Okay,
It's a little
deliberate?
more chody, but
so here's the thing: is I totally have seen that. For me, it was almost kind of like an inside joke up to this point. I've just been trying to see how many other people point out.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah.
that is
Now
just the
it's
yeah.
now it's
design.
out there.
oh, yeah.
That is just a design that was created and it's just stuck around. I'm gonna change art for the final version.
Okay.
Maybe I might put one really subtle one in there, just an
Just for
homage.
fun.
They either
But
all have to be that or none of them.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
make
and
them all slightly phallic looking.
The
well,
gym's
they don't all
working
have
on
to be
something.
phallic, you know.
If you tilt your
Uh,
head,
yeah,
You
the
can have
gym could be close.
you can have some Georgia O'Keeffe inspired ones too, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's very valid, and I'm aware of that,
All
and I'm
right, just
glad that you
checking.
noticed. Now I see where your head's at.
That's all the notes I had. So yeah, otherwise I really enjoyed it. I look forward to playing it again sometime.
All right, thanks, Eric. I appreciate all of
Yeah.
that feedback. Super helpful.
Yep.
All right, who's next?
Brian, are you good to go? Or do you want
I can go.
yeah.
Sure. So I had fun. It was good. I know I was put into a bad spot, but part of that is because when I placed my people down, I kind of can I draw on this?
Oh yeah,
So
go for it.
we went we went 1, 2, 3, and 4 in player order, but me as the fourth player decided to position myself in between these two players. So when we went around, then they had the opportunity to attack me both at the same time before I used to go. But if I
Yeah.
had gone in the correct spot, which would have been this quadrant, then I would have only really been attacked by Evan, and I could have been dealing. So I kind of had two enemies where everyone else kind of had the person on their right as an enemy.
Yeah.
I kind of had that feeling.
Can
Also
I
my
ask you a
strategy.
question about that? So
Sure.
because that has been a thing, especially like with 3-player games, there can be like one player caught in a awkward position between the other two. And that's also just the nature of like the shape of the board. I'm wondering maybe if all players start with the shrine on like the board first and then place their other ones. So maybe they're kind of forced to being in certain positions, or I don't know. But that is definitely something that I've noticed that could use balancing initial map placement. And it's also just the nature of the randomly generated board. Or just
Yeah,
giving like a player that has more enemies more opportunities to win through military means somehow potentially. Sorry, you can continue.
very good. It did feel initially very strong when I got to put down all of my pieces, like before anybody else except for the castle or the shrine. But because I didn't know what I was doing, I feel like everyone else kind of got the jump on me afterwards. I feel like going fourth felt like it was unequally disadvantageous compared to the advantage I was given at the start. I feel like it didn't equate in value
Mhm.
per se. Like my location was not as important as everyone going before me. It's just how I felt.
No, I think that's like true. Like I was feeling bad for you as I was watching you play, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Like I want all players to be as balanced as possible. So I'm curious if you guys have any ideas on that kind of conundrum.
One way you could do it is just by playing with board shape.
Hmm.
Instead of doing a 9 by 9, you can do a 10 by 10 board, but then in the centers kind of cut out 4 squares. So it almost creates 4 little realms that people are naturally
Oh,
going to want to gravitate toward. I would
okay.
play with some geometry on your board, and that it could naturally make people want to space out or separate out.
I like that idea. Back to you,
Uh,
Brian.
I feel like there was only really one way for me with my gameplay to spend money. I can spend 3 at the bazaar to buy something, but only once. And I could have bought more people, I guess, but not necessarily resources in that way. I felt like you have a lot of resources, which like thematically is fun, but I felt like I couldn't get a hold of them as easy as I wanted to, um, or as quickly as I wanted to.
Yeah, I
And
think part of that was also like your starting position. Like you only really had a few options, and because if you look at the board, like for example, the reason why Eric was so close to winning is just because he naturally had more real estate, and you just were so limited by that. And that's an issue that I'm also aware of, and I'm trying to think of better solutions for. In terms of like the trading, theoretically, you could try to build more bazaars to increase the amount of times you can trade per turn. But being able to like get a village out, a builder for extra foraging is also really strong. But you only had so many tiles that you could forage from. I do really like Eric's idea of kind of like having initial quadrants potentially that could help balance that a little bit.
One other idea you might play with is right now the boats are only good for battle. So if you have like this board, this area over here is naturally water heavy, where my area was more land heavy. If you could create a way of turning water into economy as well as battle, that might fix that problem.
Okay.
Interesting.
So potentially like you could forage from adjacent land tiles, or maybe I could make resource water tiles.
Or you know, and you can build either what's the ship that you're building right now? So right now you're building galleys. You could also build trade ships that will generate income every round and
Oh,
will count toward your income. And just like a bazaar, you can trade resources with your trade ships or something like that. Just to make the water dual use instead of single use right now, where it's just focused on tactical.
I like that. There is another element of gameplay which I was considering implementing for this playthrough, but I decided not to just because there's already so much to it. And I'm curious if you guys think it would benefit or make it too complicated from it. And that idea is including additional abilities for all of the pawns. Just as like the builder has like the forge and build mechanic in addition to attack, I've thought about giving the other pawns additional abilities. Some ideas I had off the top of my head is like the galley could be used as a bridge of sorts to carry your pawns around. I thought about the archer having like a reactive shot ability where they can attack if a pawn moves into range within them when it's not their turn. I thought about like the sentinel being able to like provide passive or active defense bonuses and the warrior being able to provide offense bonuses, and then also the saboteur being able to use an opponent's settlement if they move on top of it, stuff like that. I'm curious what you guys think of all that. I know it's a lot of information.
I don't think the game needs it, but I think that is primarily a question of what the target audience is. There's lots of players that just love more complexity, and so if your target audience are people that love very sort of complex games where everything has lots of different things that could be done, then yeah, that will appeal to them. I think for me personally, I don't feel a need for that, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I also feel like there's already enough going on, enough analysis paralysis already. Probably doesn't need any more, or at least not in that fashion. Um, so just something to think about. Did you have more feedback, Brian?
Yeah, so the next thing was, yeah, I would have liked some sort of combat focused win condition. I know you said that one of them was you had 3 shrines to yourself, but the shrines, you have to defeat a shrine first, and then you have to find one of each resource to build one. And I think it's a lot harder to do both of those things than it is to just get to what Eric was doing.
Yeah, I
So
agree. It does
I
feel
think that
particularly
can be.
difficult.
I get why it's one of everything, and it makes like I see why you did it like that way. But maybe if there's a way that you can get points for destroying, like maybe if you were, I understand that your economy is 15. Maybe if you destroyed things that equal 15, that could be another way to win of value, and a shrine could have a number on it, and then you just increase something. Because I felt like the shrines were they were good for magic, which can just seem like a side mission to me also, but it wasn't worth any points to even defend it. So if you lost yours, it's okay because you're probably trying to win the other way anyway. But if you realize someone was trying to take them all out to win in that regard, I think that could be useful.
Okay.
Some sort of combat focused win condition for the people that want to buy the dragons and the saboteurs.
Yeah. I like your idea of like having like if you destroy a certain amount of things, you win. I think the game could definitely benefit from that, especially for players that are kind of forced into military situations or just naturally want to play military heavily. Um, I've also been contemplating the idea of just having the shrines be normal settlements with their own income, and you can just place them on any type of terrain tile, and then they just kind of, just work the same. The reason why I ended up making them their own special thing with their own like special tiles was to kind of force players into the middle of the map and not just target one specific player. Kind of still deciding how I want to approach that. I'm curious how you guys felt about the shrines, that mechanic, and like the placement of the obsidian tiles and stuff.
Um, I I see what you were doing with placing it in the obsidian tile. I don't think that it's ever going to be worth it to do the 3 shrine route if you can only build shrines on the obsidian tile. One thing you might do, did you ever play Age of Empires 2?
Yes, I love that game.
I love that game too. And yeah, with the shrines, it's kind of I'm getting the feeling of you're collecting all the relics and you're putting them in your church as a win condition almost. And then I want to create a bunch of walls and crap, and then everybody's going to start charging me in order to destroy it. So maybe, maybe instead of you can only build shrines here, one of the shrines has to be here. You can put it a little closer to the center or something, or maybe keep it there. I don't know. But the 2 other shrines you can build anywhere using the same normal build conditions. And that might make that more palatable. Because I think what you're trying to do is kind of recreate that feeling of, well, now I've got to charge into your territory in order to take you out if I see that you're about to build a third one.
Okay, that's a idea. So maybe each player just like has a shrine that's in the middle, maybe even like the middle 3 of the map, and then you can build the other ones wherever. Or maybe that middle shrine has another special ability that can be triggered to make it even stronger.
Yeah.
So you guys can kind of fight for like, maybe it even has a different name. It's its own type of thing. I just like the
Or
idea of having stuff in the middle that players have to like kind of fight over too.
yeah, maybe in the middle of the board you can put, relics that you're collecting to bring back to your shrine. And then
Kind of like a capture the flag mechanic kind of
maybe,
thing.
just an idea.
I've never thought of something like that, but I kind of like it, honestly. Might come up with some ideas for that.
My
Do you,
last thing
yeah, let's hear it.
was that I felt like when I attacked with the dragon, I know it went terribly wrong, but I had the potential to deal like 9 damage. And none of that mattered as long as I got 1 more damage than the other person. So I felt like there was no need to have a number rolled that high for me. I could have just gotten by with rolling 1 dice even and doing better than them and still got the same result, not have to put in so much effort to buy the dragon in the first place. So either like I would have loved with the dragon to be able to attack his archer on top of his shrine and get them both damaged or both hurt with the excess damage. Like maybe they have defensive, like whatever excess damage there is after you roll. If it's 1, it's a damage. If it's 2 or 3, it destroys the thing. That type of vibe. So I could feel like I could do just as much with 1 strong character as I could with 3 little ones.
So you're
'Cause I
suggesting like the trample mechanic with excess damage, essentially, that would carry over
something,
to the settlements.
yeah, some sort of suggestion so that like Eric, I keep calling you Eric. 3 people, you invested in 3 people, 4 people to shoot me, and I would have died. But I only had 1 action with it before it became exhausted, so I could really only had 1 target. And if this is on here and I didn't have that card, I would have just wasted it poking this guy to get to what I really wanted, which was this. So
Yeah,
if I
I
just,
agree. There's like too many layers. I did
I mean,
have
yeah, just an easier way to break through the layers
yeah,
in like 1 action.
I agree with all that. The last iteration of the combat I had was just well, at first I had like health where you like whittle away their health, but then I had these tiny little health tokens and they were just kind of cluttered. And then I did it where it was they either die or don't die, but then it was like too strong because you just summon something that just dies immediately. So that's when I ended up doing like the damage tokens. But I do agree with what you're saying. It's like now it's just like a little bit too hard to like get the results that you want because like I feel like this game is all about like mainly immediate gratification on your turn, especially when you have to like wait for your turn. You want to be able to like do the stuff that you want to do. So I feel like yeah, more options to kind of like with combat to like get results fast would be good.
Yeah, even if it was like I deal 2 extra damage over your defense, so I put 2 damage tokens on it. And if something gets 2 damage tokens, it dies. You can increase the number from like 1 and then death to a higher number and then death, and then allow me to deal the extra damage and feel like I did more to it. And if the number's high enough, then it gets rid of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right.
But
Well, yeah,
I played very differently. I did not play to win the game. I just played to have fun. I just wanted to get
that's
a
good.
dragon and attack things. So
Yeah. And you got your dragon out.
take that
Proud of you for
all with a
doing that.
grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I did like the game.
That's good. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I felt for you because I just felt like you have a pretty poor starting position. That's something I need to work on with I feel like just as I balance all these seeds that we've talked about, it'll kind of work itself out in one way or another. So yeah, hopefully, even if somebody is in your position where they don't have the best starting position, they still have alternate routes to victory that are opened up through that in one way or another. So yeah, something to work on there.
Cool. Kif, Sasha?
I should probably go only because I have no notes.
Oh,
Go for it.
Is that a good thing or a bad
It
thing?
was flawless. I honestly, I got this job thing. I thought I was going to be able to get it out of the way. I missed 90% of the explanation. So I spent the whole time watching, trying to figure out what's going on. So any notes I have for you would be useless. Listening to everybody else's notes. These guys are geniuses. Listen to them because it looked like everybody was having fun. Turns seemed long, but it was. It seemed like I definitely got the Settlers vibe, Settlers of Catan vibe, and I got a little bit of Fame and Fortune vibe as well. Only because I don't play dungeon crawlers and I have no other point of reference. So
We should put a stack
yeah,
of money in the middle, and then what
that's
you
what
do
you need
is
in those forest spaces
And then you should run it back and forth.
that Eric suggested.
That's true. I
Um,
guess a lot of those recommendations were like your game.
I didn't say money. I said relics. All right, relics.
It's different.
totally different. But for that, I also have to go. So thanks for letting me watch, and congrats, and best of luck with it in the future.
Thanks. It was good to meet you. I
Good to
appreciate
see
your
you.
time.
Likewise.
congrats on
Likewise.
having a job to take your attention.
Thanks. Oh, and tomorrow's Orcon.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to Orcon.
heck yeah.
Nice.
Have
All
fun.
right.
Good luck, man.
Later.
Have a
Good
good
to see
night.
ya. Sasha?
Okay. So first things first, I did really like the core of this game. I think there's several things in this that really do sort of appeal to me sort of strategically. It definitely has the sort of Civ builder mixed with Advanced Wars kind of feel to it. I do think that came through for me, which I definitely played lots of RTSs and stuff growing up, and I also really enjoyed Advanced Wars was a game that I played a ton. So yeah, it definitely appeals to me. I do have notes that I'll sort of go through, but the biggest sort of feel bad moment I think was pretty obvious. I did also verbally call it out. The combat felt really bad to me and would make me not want to play the game, even though almost everything else about the game makes me want to play the game. So that would be my sort of biggest note before I actually read through my stuff. That really needs something to make it not have as feel bad of moments like what I experienced. I'll sort of try and break it down a little bit more and maybe offer a couple suggestions, but I just wanted to say that right off of the bat.
Okay.
So
That's weird because I thought combat was great.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is like the ironic part of it though, is like
No,
your
swingy.
combat like definitely felt bad as the attacker, but I'm sure as the
No.
defender that felt great.
And that is definitely the sort of classic, oh, it's a dice game thing, which I definitely agree to some degree. Sounds weird to say, but that is yes, I agree with that. But there are dice combat games that I do enjoy, and I don't feel as bad, or it doesn't feel as negative. And I think there's wiggle room there to still have the dice sort of uh, high highs and low lows, but not quite as high highs and not quite as low lows that I feel like it currently has. But anyways, I'm going to get into the notes that I wrote down and try and decipher what I meant. This was just the first thing sort of right off the bat. If I was working on this game or coming up with ideas to sort of improve setup, one of my first sort of thoughts as far as things to test is making tiles include multiple tiles, whether it's 2x2s or 3x3s, just so there's less having to pull out lots of things. It also allows you to add a little bit less variance in how wildly different the terrain can be. I do love very modular setups. As a game designer, I enjoy that, and there's definitely things that I get a tickle. Tickle. I don't know what I'm
You're
saying.
tickling yourself over there.
Yeah, I do like having things be able to be procedurally generated. Like that concept is cool, but I think for gameplay and sort of ease of setup, I am more inclined, and I enjoy games where I have to plop down like 9 tiles rather than 81 tiles. Um, and also, as far as like moving things around on a board, if 81 tiles can slide around and stuff, I think that there are a couple of elements to this game where I feel like having less tiles would help a lot. Not that I'm saying there's less spaces, like smaller grid, but like the tiles are combined.
Yeah.
And they could be like two-sided or something if you wanted that extra sort of modularity, but it would allow you to sort of put waters together and do things to sort of create an environment that is not completely randomly generated, but still dynamic and interesting from play to play. So yeah, it was just quick.
Do you have like a tile size in mind, like 2x2 or 3x3?
My first thought was 3x3, and I was thinking that you could do like player count. Like I was thinking all these math equations for doing it, but basically you would in a 4-player game you'd have 9 tiles, in a 3-player game you'd have 7 tiles, and in a 2-player game you'd have 5 tiles, and then there could be like a way that you set it up to make it look somewhat even. There are different ways to do it. I know that 7 3x3 tiles sounds like a weird thing, but I think there are ways to do it that looks reasonable, like 3 in the middle and 2 on each side. Anyways, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but that was just what I was picturing when I was thinking about it. So, and on top of that, and this sort of ties into it, I'm jumping around on my list now a little bit. If each of those 9x9 tiles had a shrine or obsidian thing on it, then you'd have a fairly even distribution of these obsidian things. And I feel like that was something that I sort of wanted, is there to be more obsidian spots. I felt like there being 5 total obsidian spots and having 3 is the win condition in a 4-player game felt like crazy. Like the amount of dominating the board I'd have to do to be able to hold 3 feel in a 4-player game feels a little bit wild or very hard. So if there was like more obsidian tiles around, then players, I feel like there would be a little bit more incentive for players to push into my zone to stop me from getting a shrine victory or something. I don't know. That was just a thought.
I actually really like the idea that you just brought up. Kind of the hybrid of those two ideas is having like a bunch of 3x3s that are double-sided, and then each one potentially has like an obsidian thing on it or some form of tile that you can build shrines on.
Yeah,
I think something like that would be a cool idea.
Okay, getting back to my actual things I wrote down. Set up restrictions. This is with our placing our buildings. I felt like we kept running into. Oh wait, no, you can't put that one there. And now that I've played the game, I'd obviously understand a lot more. But I think sort of reducing the amount of setup restrictions or simplifying how that worked would be appreciated. I don't know what the correct way of doing that is. And again, if you had these 3x3s, maybe there's some clever way of solving it in that sense, where you can have 2 buildings per 3x3 spot, or I don't know what it is.
That's a good idea.
Whatever it is, just to simplify that, so it's not as like, oh no, it can't go there because it's next to their building. Oh, that one can't go in the desert. This one can't go in the desert. It just, again, now that I understand the game and how the buildings work, it wouldn't be a problem. But for the initial learning, it felt like there was a lot of like if then kind of
Yeah.
things that made it confusing. Too many actions on a turn. Everyone has sort of talked about this a little bit, and this is just tying into the turn length. This is a note that I wrote before we even started playing. I just saw that we started with we started with 5 buildings.
5 buildings and a builder. So
yeah, so we start with 6 actions on our turn, and each of those options has 2 things that it can do, and like the builder can also move to a bunch of different spots. So it's just like the amount of possible things that you can be doing on your turn is like a lot right out of the gate, which not only can be a little bit overwhelming for a first time play, but also the turn length, it just gets a bit long. I did really like the sort of idea that Eric brought up, like in Terraforming Mars, the 2 actions, and then passing for rounds. I think that's an interesting way of doing it. I don't know if it's the correct way, but I definitely would be interested to see how that plays out, because then there's like strategic reason to be like, what 2 actions do I want to do on my turn to set myself up for my next turn, or do I need to get to this space to get this resource? Otherwise, the other person's going to go there to get it before my next turn, or whatever it is. I think there could be some strategically interesting elements to that. Again, I don't know if it's the right answer, but it could be a way to test reducing the turn length. Maybe the way the deserts worked, it felt sort of like a funny way to explain you can't end your movement on a desert. Like you can, but you'll lose your unit. And
So, could I just explain that really quick? Because
Yeah.
I totally see where you're coming from. So, there used to be a system where they were called event cards. So, every round you would draw an event card for the round.
Uh-huh.
And one of those was Sandstorm. So, it'd be
Got it.
like there's like a 1 in 7 chance or whatever that like you could end your guys out the desert, but it'd be kind of a
But it was
gamble
risky.
thing.
Okay.
Anyways, I got rid of the event cards and turned them into the sorceries.
Got
But
it.
I still wanted to keep that desert being hazardous in some way.
Mhm.
But I do agree, like, there's probably a better way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, it was just you can't end your turns there. Just like I can't end my turn with one of my units on top of one of my other units. It like worked in the same way, and it worked the same way for everyone. The only opportunity with the way it worked right now is someone forgetting that it did that, and then
Yeah,
having to like retroactively change their turn or stuff. I don't know.
yeah.
So just either making it so you can't end your turn it, or make it a more interesting decision in some way.
Maybe it gives you like a negative penalty to combat or something.
Or yeah, or something. Yeah, just the way it was explained made it feel more complicated than I think it needed to be. Okay, buildings can just collect what they're on. Yeah, that seemed like pretty much across the board. That's just what it did. The bazaar was the one exception of that, and the castle did double. And I think this was maybe just a little bit of the teach thing. When we were learning the game, I think everyone sort of got confused on. So like I can get resources from buildings, but like how does that, like, can I get any resource from this building? Or yeah, I think in general the way it worked is buildings can just collect the resource that they're on, and deserts don't provide a resource. I almost would like I almost like the idea of the bazaar like getting a bonus for being on the desert. It was just like we could have the bazaar on the desert, right?
So Bazaar can only be built on desert.
Oh, it can only be built on desert. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So the desert basically is a resource of money.
It's like your trading medium.
Yeah, but like the buildings collect the resource that they're on, and the bazaar's on the desert, and it collects money. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Okay.
guess yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I think this might just be a teach thing. Is just buildings can collect the resource that they're on. The bazaar is sort of the weird one, and the castle collects double. Um, um, village payment type. Oh, uh, I think that was just a clarity on how it was written in here. It wasn't entirely clear that you had to pay the resource that the village was on.
Mhm.
Once we got it, it wasn't a big deal, but I maybe it's a teach thing / player aid thing, but
I also
I
did
understand
just
the balance
create
element.
these reference cards like an hour before we played.
Totally, I totally understand. Yeah, not a big deal. It wouldn't be a hard thing to do, but that was just something that
Yeah.
I think everyone messed up or
Yeah,
slightly, or
I definitely
several
need to
people did.
clarify the wording on like what collects a resource means or spend a resource.
Because of the way that deserts worked, compel seemed like a way to kill other people's units, but the way that the desert actually works is it doesn't work that way. And I think that was just sort of rules confusing wise for me. I didn't bring it up and it didn't actually come up, but I was sort of curious about that because this desert was sort of labeled as this thing that the would kill units if they end their turn on it. And there was a card that let you move your opponent's units to a space. That's sort of where my brain went, but like because desert happens at the end of your own turn for killing your units,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually do that. So
That yeah.
again, I think that's just a little fuzziness around maybe being clear on how the desert works, or simplifying how the desert works, or whatever.
So that did used to be a thing where,
Mhm.
and there also used to be a sandstorm sorcery card, so you could like compel and then sorcery, or even if it was just killing them with the desert. I just felt like that was a little bit too strong
I
because then any
I
player that's
definitely
there,
that note that I actually wrote down was compel into desert seems strong or feel bad, and
yeah.
then I realized that wait, that doesn't actually even work. So
So I
it's
guess
not.
the main purpose of compel is just to like make their settlement defenseless, or if they're like blocking like a narrow strait, I
Yeah,
guess depending on the situation,
I
it's kind of weird.
I could definitely see reasons to use it. Um, yeah, I definitely didn't mind the sorceries. I found myself having an abundance of wood, and so I was just buying whatever the wood thing was at each round, um, and it just was because I happened to have placed my castle on the wood spot, and then the good placement for my port also was on a wood spot, and so I
Mm,
just had extra wood production. So I was just doing lots of uh, whatever was there was what I was getting.
yeah.
I don't dislike how this works. I thought it was interesting because like I could always figure out a way to get whatever resource I wanted if I really wanted a specific card, and that seemed interesting to me. So I didn't dislike that. I just that was what my experience was with that system. Um, refresh during upkeep separate from income refresh. Uh, the way that you sort of explained it initially, and the way that Player reads is those are sort of two separate stages. It sort of feels like that it is not necessarily just flip up all our tiles and collect our income. I get sort of why you might do that for resolving damage and healing and everything, but I don't think it's worth having it be two separate phases. You just flip up your tiles and collect your income. If it has a damage thing, remove the damage instead of flipping it up.
I agree with that.
Um, yeah, I think it the way you explained it made it sound more complicated than I think it turned out to be. Um, um, things are almost always going. I don't know what that means. Um, uh, combat feels bad. Yeah, or I started talking about that. My like I sort of had this whole plan turned my whole turn planned about doing my like I set up my boat over here. I was going to teleport my boat over here. I wanted to attack his castle, but then sort of like thinking about how combat works, it's like I'm never going to freaking kill this castle
Yeah.
rolling 2 dice versus 3 dice. Um, like I could definitely get lucky, but like the odds were not in my favor. And so I was just like, I guess I'll just attack the builder because that's like a sure thing.
Yeah.
And then I like played out my sorcery card to move over there. I attacked the builder, and I failed. And then
Yeah.
I like exhausted several other of my things to do an attack again. It's like, okay, now I'm definitely gonna kill it, and I still didn't kill it, even though like the odds were very much in my
Yeah.
favor.
Like you did everything
I
right,
spent
but you
so many
still like
resources
got
and so many
penalized.
actions on my turn, and got nothing out of it. And yeah, that felt very, very bad. And I like, yeah, I don't.
That's a very valid feeling that you have. I
Uh,
can understand. I'm
it,
curious if you have like any potential ideas for
so
combat and how.
I think the biggest thing is like failing like once because of bad rolls. That is, I can accept. Spending like a bunch of extra stuff to try again, and then also failing against the odds, that is where it feels really bad. And so either making it so I can't do like spend I don't like the idea of not being stopping me from being able to spend all this extra stuff to try again. But if I'm spending all this extra stuff to try again, I want to like I want it to actually work, because I spent all of this extra stuff to do this. Like it was still not a good exchange, even if I did win that, because I had to spend all this extra stuff. But at least I like at the end of the day, I did what I wanted to do, even though I spent way more than I wanted to. But uh, opening it up for spending all that stuff and then getting absolutely nothing is, I think, what would make me not want to play the game again.
Yeah.
It
Um,
felt absolutely amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
You're still riding that high over there.
The builder.
Yep.
I know.
Taking
Freaking
on that
yoked.
boat.
It's
Yeah.
about the cones, Sasha. It's
Yeah,
not about the cones.
Exactly.
Sasha,
Lily Farmer.
I totally agree with everything that you're saying. I'm very aware that there's the combat. It needs a little more something than something. I'm
Yeah,
still trying to figure out what that is.
there's definitely lots of different games that have sort of explored around with dice combat stuff, and so I think it's just a matter of trying some different ones and finding one that you like. Um, I I could like list off a couple different games that have combat systems that I think are fine. I don't know what my favorite dice combat game is, um, because um, I definitely have been burned more on combat driven dice games than I have like felt really good about them. I definitely don't mind things like the way that combat works with root. I generally like. I'm not saying that that makes sense in this game, but just as far as games that have dice to resolve combat, um, that you can get unlucky for whatever reason, the way that it works in root doesn't feel as bad to me.
So, really quick, can I ask? So, when I first made this game, there was no dice-based combat.
Mhm.
It all pawns had set attack and defense,
Mhm.
and so you could control, like you knew for sure if you were gonna get killed or not.
Mhm.
The reason I took it out is because number one, the turns were taking even longer because players were like super analyzing,
You
like
can just math everything.
yeah, making the perfect move. And also like for the defenders, they kind of just like, you know, didn't have a chance at a certain point. I also do like how it sort of gets the defender involved in gameplay when it's not their turn by having them roll. But it's just the nature of the dice is like there's gonna be
Yeah.
like one salty party regardless of what happens.
First thought, very much off the top of my head, I don't know if this is a right call at all, but having like a base attack or base defense value that is then augmented by a die or something, if you like really want to have that sort of potential swing, just so that like if you are going into combat and you're obviously favored, you are going to win that combat, not like you could potentially totally whiff kind of thing. Um, yeah. I don't have the correct solution, but I think just a matter of sort of trying some different things and seeing what one works for you. maybe other people have good suggestions in that sense. Food looks phallic.
It does though. Like even when he like
the
sent me the
apple
design,
placement,
I didn't even correct it because I was like, okay, this is
the apple
too good to be
placement
true.
and like the corn like sticking up. It's just like okay.
I'm oddly hungry now.
Is it a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just like
And those leaves, it's got a nice bush going. It's great.
depending on who you're showing this to, it may or may not. Yeah.
Well, the
Got a bit
kids
of a
gotta learn one
rash.
way or another. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
how
totally.
Got a
babies
bit
are
of a
born.
rash with the strawberries.
I mean, there's so much food that is phallic looking already, so it's like, yeah,
It's just a beautiful cornucopia.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's abundance right
I
there.
think that's a cornucopia.
I was just gonna say, just as a counter, sort of opinion to Eric, I really didn't mind the squares. I think the squares work fine for me. But again, I come from I did also really enjoy playing lots of Advanced Wars. I think the difference between squares and hexes, there is an argument in target market kind of element where hexes is more hobby gamers do like hexes and more sort of I wouldn't even say mass market, but more like uh, muggle gamers or entry level gamers are more comfortable with sort of squares or more maybe more intimidated by hexes. That's definitely evolving, but that's an opinion. This definitely feels like more of a hobby gamer sort of game. So I think hexes would be fine, but me personally, I thought squares were fine, and I would enjoy seeing its development continue with squares personally. Um, uh, yeah, and I was just saying I don't need extra abilities on pawns personally. Um, and the last thing that I have written here is just the sort of breakdown of um, I was just looking at the 2 players being 7x7, 3 players 8x8, 4 players 9x9, and just looking at the amount of new tiles you're adding per player, and just sort of figuring out how I feel like 2-player game would not feel very tight as far as amount of space that you have, as opposed to 4 players could feel tighter a lot quicker, just based on how that came out. But I yeah, the suggestion of the 3x3 tiles and stuff was a counter to this kind of thought. That's everything I have written down here. Again, I did really enjoy the core of the game, and was just really turned off by the that combat.
Yeah, that
Outside
makes
of that,
sense.
I enjoyed it.
Could I chime in with one idea on
Yeah.
Sasha's dice combat?
Mhm.
I
Yes,
mean,
please.
you could consider doing a card combat system where, you know, each player, instead of how many dice they get to roll or how many dice they defend with, that's how many cards that they can play. And then, you know, you have various mechanisms for gaining combat cards that could be anywhere between 1, 2, or 3 power.
There is, I think, the Civilization board game, which has a mechanic very similar to that, where it's
Okay.
almost kind of like a rock, paper, scissors thing, but then you get the cards. I'm not opposed to that. That could definitely be something to explore. I just don't want to make it too similar to that. But it doesn't have to be dice based for sure. Like there's
that concept also vaguely reminds me of Scythe, in how it has combat cards and you sort of bid combat power. It's obviously different, but
I have not played those, unfortunately.
Oh.
So, all right, sorry.
No, I appreciate the feedback, and I'll like that is true though. Like it doesn't have to be dice based. That was just the first thing that came to my mind, but it could be something else potentially.
Yeah, am I saying similar to Scythe was like I think that is an interesting and good system. I wasn't like you shouldn't try and use that kind of thing. I think it's a cool idea. But
Okay.
yeah, I think I'm gonna pass the mic to Evan at this point.
Okay.
Thanks, Sasha. I appreciate all your
Yeah.
feedback.
Absolutely.
Super helpful.
I appreciate getting to play it.
Okay. So now I've gained the benefit of listening to everybody else,
Yep.
so I can sound smarter.
Okay.
That's my secret technique.
Exactly.
I guess I blew the secret.
That's why you've been around for this long.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they keep me around. Oh, it's a screwdriver. Okay, anyway, I was like, why is that so wobbly? There's a stack of junk on top of a screwdriver. Okay. But what's going on? Yeah, a military victory of some kind sounds like a good idea. Whether it's destroying 2 shrines or destroying 10 income worth of stuff or whatever, yeah, sounds cool. I obviously was big on the archers and wanted to go crush some things. The time between turns, everybody's mentioned it. You already know it's an issue. It's an issue. I agree. What do you do about it? There's so many different ways of handling it. The 2 actions is a cool way. But that does come with an overall increase of game time. So you're going to have, everybody acting more frequently, but getting into and out of your turns total will take longer for the entire game. So little positive, little negative, because then if you're going to AP, then you're going to AP on every single time you have an action instead of, so if you have fewer turns, the AP time actually goes down, versus more turns, AP goes up. Then you're like, well, on my next turn, I'm going to need wood, which means now I need, unless I do this, and then I'm going to need, cockberries now, and then wood later. So, just kind of depends. Sorry, is that food? Sorry. Food.
Just the combination of cockberries and wood, I just felt like it was very comedic.
Pornhub.
There are 2 forms of wood in the game. No.
There were 2 ideas, or there was an idea that like everybody could have like similar phases going on. That was interesting. I think you still are going to end up with an overall increased game time, but again, I don't know if that's bad if what you're gaining out of that is people feeling like they're involved throughout the game.
Yeah.
Right?
My goal is like 2 hours max, ideally, for game time.
Yeah, so it might actually be worth breaking everything down, even though the total game length might go up a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But one way is, everybody, there's like the Race for the Galaxy thing where, okay, we're gonna colonize and we're gonna search and we're gonna build or whatever, and if that card got chosen, then whoever chose that card gets to do that action better, and everybody else gets to do the action normal. And not every action is going to get picked every round. So that's kind of one thing to think about. Obviously, don't just go copy Race for the Galaxy, but that was an interesting way of doing that. Another way you can do it is you can resolve things one at a time collectively. You could run into turn order issues sometimes with these things, but for example, builder gets resolved first. Everybody resolves their builder. Then everybody resolves their village. Then everybody, you'd want to put village later because they can flip things up. Then everybody resolves their port. Then everybody resolves their bazaar. Then everybody resolves their castle. And then everybody resolves their troops. That kind of thing. It obviously would have to be done. It would be very different, but that's just another idea that came up of it. But anyway, yeah, more frequently interacting with the game would be really good, I think.
Yeah.
Where am I? Lots of decisions up front. This is kind of just one of my pet peeves, but a couple other people mentioned it as well, where I would love you to just give me a board and tell me where I'm at and click and go play. Take your turn. Here's a bunch of stuff. You don't have to make any decisions that you don't really understand why you would make those decisions. Go ahead and play. Yeah. Need that. Tracking and remembering resources. It's another pet peeve. Just like most of my pet peeves, there's tons of super famous, popular, money-generating games that do these things that I am annoyed by. So, are they bad? I don't know. but I don't like them. And one of
Is it
those,
like the resources and the coins, or just both?
no, that's totally fine. But making me track who's got what resources, if I cared to do so, turns it into a memory game, which I almost always just I don't want to play that game.
Would you rather players play with their hands open then?
Sure, anything that makes me not have to keep a scrap of paper and keep track of what you're doing.
Okay. I mean, I don't think honestly it would change the gameplay that much.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm curious how you guys would feel about that.
But you know,
Open hands.
it's a pet peeve of mine. I think most people don't really mind, but
No, that's valid.
as a person with a bad memory, I'm like, nope, don't want to play that game.
No,
I'm
I'm
at a
similar in
disadvantage.
that way.
I'm at a disadvantage. I'm out. I still play them sometimes, but I talk big, but then I still play. Time between turns. Yes, we already talked about that. 2 actions, 3 actions, whatever. Who knows? More overall game time. Yes, I already said that. How does the wall work? That I now understand. I just didn't know for a long time. So at some point in the telling us how the game works, we never quite got to walls. Why the spacing rule of settlements?
Do you want me to answer that, or
Yeah.
is okay? So the main reason, with the current way that the game plays, is to make it because like if that wasn't a thing, green player could just build all their stuff right next to each other and win
Mhm.
without really having anything be a threat to anybody. So it's kind of to force them to put their things in vulnerable positions and also have to expand to win the game without just winning in a corner. But if we do go with the approach, which I'm kind of thinking of with like the 3x3 tiles, and maybe you can only have like 2 settlements per 3x3 or something like that, then that already would kind of fix that one way or another. So
Hmm.
it's very open to change.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel strongly. I was just curious why it was there.
No, it
What it
definitely
was
like
solving.
is
Yeah.
like an extra layer of just complexity,
Yeah.
which I feel like it could do without. So
Mm-hmm.
something that I would like to ideally like get rid of.
Mm-hmm. I wrote down dice exclamation point, and Sasha knows why. Yeah, dice are tough. Dice
Yeah.
are tough. Dice are really tough. This level of strategic gameplay with like I'm spending these resources to build this thing. I don't know. I don't know if I feel like you need to remove dice or if they're fine. I don't feel strongly that they have to go, but it's definitely tough. I build up all this stuff and then I lose just because dice. Like, why did I
Yeah.
spend all my time building up this stuff? Dice.
What Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What do you think about potentially using resources in combat some way or another?
That could be cool. What I wrote down was, give me dice mitigation rather than additional luck. So
So
for
like,
example,
yeah,
intervene is just more luck.
yeah,
It could go poorly.
very true.
Stuff like that. Like give me actual mitigation. And then overpower, you almost gave me actual mitigation, but you made me do it before the roll, which makes it once again luck. Because I don't know if
Could
I
not
actually
matter.
needed it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I may have wasted it or I might not, or maybe I should have, I don't know. But give me just like +2 swords or +2 shields or whatever. Let me actually like modify the outcome of the combat. Then when I have that, lightning bolt sorcery card and I'm like, +2 damage. If they don't have extra defense, guess what? I know that I'm winning because we already saw the result of the roll. Like I would like to see a little more ability to actually mitigate luck rather than just recreate another chance for luck.
yeah.
Um,
Especially if you're gonna like spend your resources on it, you want it to pay
yeah,
off.
yeah. I want to be able to know that I'm going to use the thing and that it's going to be useful. Dice exclamation. Dragon. Um, I I know you have all these ideas for what else these little buddies can do, which I think is like, to me that's attractive, but I definitely don't think your game needs it for the first number of plays. But you can totally have a backside of your character cards that have the extra ability for the players that have played 5 or 6 times that are like, let's add some sweet extra abilities to these characters,
Maybe that'd be like an expansion or something,
or just a
or just
backside of the
abilities.
sheet. Doesn't need to be an expansion because you're not adding
That's
new
true. Yeah, it would
characters.
be
You're just
super easy.
adding an ability to each character. So just
Yeah.
little boop extra abilities.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like it would like improve, like it would add a cool new layer to the combat, but I feel like it would be too complicated for the initial first few playthroughs.
Yeah.
So I kind of like where you're going with that.
Let's see. So, but the dragon, I was like, man, he should be able to like hit everybody in his path or something.
I thought
like,
about giving him like an AoE attack or giving him like multiple attacks, or maybe if he successfully does an attack roll, he doesn't get exhausted and gets to go again or something like that.
Something where he, something badass. But again, that's like extra combat rules.
No, I mean, if
but
you're gonna
the
like
dragon
spend
might
all that
deserve
stuff
it.
for
The
a
dragon might
dragon,
deserve an extra combat rule.
yeah, I feel like he definitely deserves his time to shine, especially, and that would definitely help Brian out too.
Yeah.
Because like Brian was saying, like even though he's got like a super good dragon, like you got like 2 archers and a warrior, like you're just gonna like outnumber him anyway.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but a dragon should feel.
I mean, it's a dragon. Yeah.
A dragon should feel pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, it's more of a wyvern. We need to upgrade it to a dragon.
You just want to make sure that your actions feel impactful,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Like you earned them.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is clever in this game is the damage token. I do like how that plays out quite a bit. There are some things that make it not ideal in its current version, like with the dragon and stuff. But like the dragon should be able to kill people and things like that. But generally speaking, like the way having to damage a thing and then hit it again, I think that's a nice pace, and I think that's way better than having a bunch of little hit point tokens. I think it's a nice middle ground where I can't just come in and one shot kill a thing, but you also don't have to track a ton of little hit points. So I personally really like that staged damage thing. Personally.
Okay, that's good to hear.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I just came up with that yesterday, so
yeah, I like it. Village. Yeah, I think it'll come off much less fiddly if you just let the village say spend 1 resource to flip something up.
Yeah.
Instead of spend 1 resource that it's sitting on.
Yeah. So any resource?
Yeah. Like it's better. Maybe that's too good. I don't know.
Well,
but
I also
something about that it's sitting on was just a little too much.
No, I agree. It is kind of hard to like actually make it happen realistically. Especially like if the resource that you want is what the village is on. Right. I did before that. I had an inspire sorcery card which had that effect, so you just get a sorcery for it instead. But then I felt like it was a little redundant with the village and the sorcery having the same thing. So maybe either do it back as a sorcery or make the village more versatile. That is a very strong mechanic though, the refreshing. So kind of, I don't know. I could go either way.
Yeah.
I just want to do a quick little thing. My first thought was if village needed crystal to reset, or you like chose a resource specifically that like if you wanted to do a lot of resetting, you'd have to like make sure you're getting a lot of that resource. So like a strategic like route that you're going down, not just villages give you extra actions.
So kind of like make the resources a little bit more thematic even, or like the resource kind of
they have a little bit
gameplay.
Because of what buildings or units take what resource. But yeah, anyways.
Mhm.
No, I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Maybe yeah, maybe like for example, if I do end up taking some of the luck elements out, I can tie that back in by saying like, oh, well, if you have like a food, then you can re-roll a die or something at some point or stuff like that. I don't know. Just like a little additional little
Yeah, but
modifiers that
instead of
certain
a
resources do.
reroll, I would do a +1.
A +1, yeah,
Because
because
reroll once again can
mitigation
whip.
instead of luck.
Yeah.
I got
Just
you.
give me a +1 for every
I'll
food
make
I
it happen
discard.
just for you, Evan.
Thank you. But again, that's just that's one of my pet peeves that doesn't
No,
necessarily make it
I
right or
think
wrong.
it's very valid. Like I agree.
Another pet peeve of mine that is neither right nor wrong, because lots of games do amazingly only doing this thing that I dislike, but it's lots of resources that don't really do anything different from one another, that are just mix and match um, uh, recipe fulfillment. To me, that is not interesting, and it's kind of like the grindy aspect of the very first MMORPGs, where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go kill rats for an hour. Like I don't want to have to go collect all these resources. Like just let me do let me figure out what like, oh, and this thing needs these three things, and this thing needs these three things. Like to me, it's just not an interesting mechanical interaction at all. Some people love it. I know that. But I like to see a little bit more thematic integration of what I'm doing. So, the fact that food can be used for certain things is mildly thematic. But, like, why do I need food?
I can give you one reason in this game.
Well, I mean, the gift of life. But what? Why do I need food? What does it do that is so different than something else? Why do I need wood? What does it do that is Eric? Why do I need stone? What does it do that is so different from anything else? Gems are needed for spell casting, and wood is needed to bring things back online, and like whatever. Or uh, gems are for adding combat damage, and wood is for preventing combat. I don't know. Just let them do things that are
Yeah.
uniquely interesting, that gives me a reason to go after it. Or if village always cost food to use its ability, like, okay, great, I want to go get food because I can use that for this thing, rather than like, I don't know what I'm going to want to build in 2 turns. I have to figure that out now and spend a bunch of AP time figuring out what I need to build to recipe fulfill. So should I go here? Should I get this? I don't know. Am I going to want to build a dragon? Will I be able to build a dragon? Hold on, wait. It's just like yeah. I want the resources to do something different from one another.
I hear you. I'm writing that down. I think kind of like what we were saying before, just like give each resource kind of its own nuanced ability that
Yeah.
just like it's like its own gameplay sort
Yeah.
of thing that you want to shoot for. And if you
Yeah.
like that style of gameplay, then shoot for
Yeah.
that, or based on like your setup on the map, whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely, because I do agree. It's like if really all the resources like are kind of the same thing, that's just like a different cost to like get something, but you could just get that with coins anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I do need to give that a little bit more flavor. I kind of like we were saying, we're like, yeah, food for villages, gems in some way, maybe like just to get a sorcery, it's just a gem instead of like whatever it's matched up with.
Which is funny because the one thing you did do that was unique for the resources was that biro.
This here. Did you like this system?
I did.
Okay, well maybe like I don't know, maybe I could figure out something with it, but the gems I feel like ties in with magic in some ways,
totally,
or maybe
exactly.
it does something cool.
I think so too.
I do like this idea though, where it's like kind of random and it's just like whatever.
I thought that was really cool and interesting. I did.
You can always just make the gems like a wild card, but otherwise keep the biro system the same.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. gems could be used in some form to like as a hybrid resource of some kind.
Yeah, make them a little bit less present on the map and make them a
Yeah,
little
that's
make
true
them the wild resource or whatever.
because right now also there's an equal amount of each kind of resource tile. So maybe I could change that and have, you know, certain ones that are better be less and be more contested after.
Yeah.
That would also make the terraform cooler too, because then you could like try to bring that closer to you or whatever.
Yeah, it makes your setup more important also.
Yeah.
Overpower is super underpowered,
That's
which was
a
funny.
good one.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Do you like the idea of like making them lose a die, or it just needs to like just be better?
I want an ability that is not that doesn't give me more luck that it mitigates the luck.
So maybe just the overpower would just be like just give +2 to your attack roll or something like that.
I would love that.
Okay.
If you were making a game to satisfy me, I would love that.
I want you to love this game and play every day.
Satisfy Evan first, and
exactly,
then everyone else
exactly.
after that.
Yeah,
But do keep in mind,
that's
like
kind of where I'm
this,
going.
like I'm coming at you with all opinion of what I prefer, and obviously what I prefer isn't what always sells. So like
No, I mean like these are everything you're saying is like thoughts that I've had as designing this, but I just like haven't been able to like really properly voice what fell off about it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
The little sneaky cowl symbol on the saboteur and the dragon. I wanted that to do something more cool and relevant. But yeah.
I feel like we also didn't really get to the point where like we were kind of invading each other's areas.
Right. Maybe it's more
Saboteur,
relevant than I think.
That's actually a really strong mechanic,
Right.
being able to like move through because you could just like go straight to their weak stuff.
Sure.
Also, just on that theme, what do you think about like the idea of like the saboteur being able to like use the abilities of other settlements? I know we said like potentially have that be like an extra mechanic with the abilities. Anyway, I just thought that something like that might be cool.
It could be cool. Yeah, that would definitely be
people's...
on the backside. That would be an advanced thing for sure. But what came to mind for me is you can't use sorcery against the cowl people because you can't let because the dragon is too powerful. Obviously,
hexproof
you can't cast a sorcery on a dragon. It's not going to affect it. And
or maybe there's some type of mechanic that you can use to
cast it on. But anyway, that's probably a backside thing. Anyway. And then the board setup. This is going to make so much sense. So, because of my janky little drawings. So, there's a middle ground between squares and hexes, and that is squarexes. But basically, you make your board like that, where you just offset each line of squares. Wow. And so it actually turns into the functionality of hexes.
Hold up, just hold it there. I'm going to take a picture of it.
It turns into the functionality of hexes, but maintains squares for people that works better for their brain.
So are those supposed to be rectangles, or you just drew?
No, I'm just bad at drawing. Those are supposed to be squares, but I made them.
Are there other games that you've played that have that?
I think so. Yeah, I forget the name. It's got some fancy name, but it's like a middle ground between squares and hexes because it replaces the functionality of hexes but using squares.
No, that's honestly like super interesting. I would be down to explore that a little bit.
But the little drawing I had the range on it. I put little 1s and then little 2s so you could see where the rangers and stuff would shoot. And then if you did that kind of thing, then a dragon could have a more unique range where he does the 3 in front of them kind of thing. But and then for setup, I was wondering about, like, obviously this is probably too small of a unit, but that little thing right there.
What am I looking at?
Oh, the little 7 square,
that would be like
square
the tile,
/ rectangles.
Oh, okay.
rather than the
Um,
3x3. Yeah.
Okay.
It's 2 on either side and 3 in the middle.
Yeah.
If you went for the offset squares, that would be a unit, and then your player setup would look like
Oh, wow.
that.
Wow.
So
Okay.
obviously you're adding on more of those units for multiple players. Although I think that scale's a little off. I think the
Mhm.
total board needs to be much larger than that, but that was the basic idea. And then you could block those together in ways that made total sense for that player count. You know what I mean?
I am definitely going to try to recreate that and see how it works. I'm curious, like, how that would work in terms of like the grid snapping in Tabletop Simulator,
Oh, I
if
couldn't
they
tell
are
you.
offset. Maybe if I can do coding, I could figure out some way to make them snap into a position
You're
like that.
good. You can do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
cool.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
you could do
meet
that.
up with you, Brian, after at some point to
Okay.
have you help me with that kind of stuff.
But that's only if you do want to move towards, that hex functionality. Because
Honestly, like that system that you just described, like I haven't seen anything like that before, so I didn't even really know like that existed, but I am really open to anything at this point, so I feel like it's at least worth giving it a shot just to see like what new avenues it kind of opens up or
yeah, I think
but it
it's pretty
seems super
cool. But
interesting.
yeah, it was. I've got a game that I'm considering
Oh,
switching from hexes to this offset system, just because it slides back and forth, and
oh,
Mountain
that's
sliding with
gods.
cool.
hexes is problematic.
Yeah, a
Mountain,
little bit.
Mountain God's Revenge.
Mountain God's
right?
Revenge, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
but that's mostly what I've got. I think I really liked the 2 hits to kill. I really liked the kind of civ building aspect and the army mustering aspect. I think I think uh, that I will really enjoy where this game ends up.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
You see the potential in it?
yeah, I do. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Okay, cool. That's what I want to hear.
Okay, anything else come up for you all while I was yabbering?
The couple of things I just wrote down. I just wanted to echo. I also did really like the sort of stage damage. The like things will heal but be offline on the next turn. I think that system is simple but elegant way to keep combat or damage interesting and not complex. And then village always. Oh yeah, I already said that. And then dice. Oh, there was just another thought with combat is the better you are at combat is just like the more mitigation you have or essentially so like um when you have a 3 attack or whatever you roll 3 dice and you choose the best one versus a 1 attack
Mm,
that probably wouldn't be the correct solution but just the concept of being better at combat means you have more mitigation or something rather than it being very swingy. Um, anyway, those were my thoughts.
okay.
Just one other thought for me as well is you could play around with the idea that the desert doesn't necessarily have to be a negative spot, and so
It's 2 coins.
or I mean you can combine dice and cards. Like maybe the desert you go and you get cards that you can play to mitigate dice when you're rolling or something like that. I don't know, but just an idea to play around with is not locking yourself into the idea that the desert has to be a negative area.
Okay.
Yeah, desert. You go out in the desert, and you like get tough, and you get a +1 -1 token.
Yeah, you're a wizard. You need to go meditate
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, there's definitely some options to explore there. It doesn't Yeah, I agree, like it doesn't have to be just a negative thing. Um honestly like that +1 -1 idea could be interesting. Could be worth trying out something.
Oh, another way to mitigate as well, especially if when they were talking about the dragon and buffing it up, you could, the dragon gets one hit for free, and then you're just rolling to see if you get the second hit, something like that. Was another idea
Okay.
Dragon.
I
Yeah,
thought of.
the dragon deserves to get beefed up a little.
Dragon.
The dragon needs to be on the level that your builder was.
Yeah, yeah.
He was drinking like dragon juice or something. I don't know. It's not legal.
Dragon juice is definitely a spell you should, or a potion, I
Yeah.
guess. Dragon juice. For the
No, that's a
builder.
good name.
Any other questions for us or things that you wanted us to cover that we didn't get to go over?
I think we covered pretty much all of it. I'm definitely at a place now where I got a lot of the feedback that I needed, and knew it's always good just to have like fresh eyes on, something you've been working on for a while to open your eyes to things that you'd never even really considered before. So for me personally, I'm just gonna go hard, experimenting with all these different mechanics, kind of seeing what meshes the best, and then I'd love to at some point, maybe like a couple months or so, try to do this again.
Yeah, bring it back on.
And then yeah, see where it goes from there.
Let us play it again. That'd be rad.
And also, oh sorry,
No,
just
no,
really quick,
You go ahead.
if you guys need me to play test anything, I'm always down. So
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll friend you and then add you to the green room, and then just any week that you want to jump on, jump on.
yeah, that would be awesome. I love
Cool.
that.
Sounds good.
What were you gonna say, Sasha?
All I was going to say, I realized I forgot to write this down. The concept of exhausted things having losing ties. It seems like that essentially just meant that the defender loses ties, unless a player decided that they didn't want to use all of their actions for the turn, which didn't seem like something that you often or almost ever wanted to do. So I think it was just be an extra rules thing that is not necessary. You could just say defender loses ties or attacker wins ties, and it would be almost like the exact same. And you wouldn't have to have those edge cases of like, oh, actually they didn't use their thing this turn, so actually they have advantage.
Yeah, I know, I agree with that. Because it's like, yeah, I want to incentivize players to use all the things that they can, So I agree with that. That should just be a thing.
Cool. That was it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Let's get out of here so Brian can go to bed. It is 11:49 my time. Brian, how can people find you and support what you've been working on?
Sure. You can find me at emberleafgames.com. We have a website now. And you can find our Kickstarter there and support us, or you can go to Kickstarter and look up Fame and Fortune and click that follow along for when it launches button.
Awesome.
Yay!
Yeah, I need
Fame
to
and Fortune.
adjust my little link in the show notes, I think, to the website. Will you send me a message with that website? Because I will not remember it. That's how bad my brain is. Relief.com. Oh, yeah, I'll remember to do that. I won't, unless you send me a message. Thank you. Eric, how can people find the support what you're working on?
Oh, let's see. If you go on Meetup or Facebook, you can search Sacramento Board Game Designers, and you'll find the group that I help organize, and we meet up every other week. Otherwise, I'll be at Dice Tower West with a couple of my games that have been on your show, and I've got a couple more that I'm going to be testing out that have not been on your show yet. So
Awesome.
we'll see. Yeah.
Cool. Sasha, how can people find and support what you've been working on?
Well, the link that is in the show note or the
That's your
description
Discord, I think.
is Discord. But also Playtest PDX on Instagram. I post things mainly for our local sort of game meetup stuff, but sometimes I post other game design stuff. I did my game jams in January there. I also am on TikTok, Sasha Jelton, for all sorts of board game design content. I did a game jam every day in January, and It was a lot of fun, and you should check it out if you haven't seen them. Yeah, that's me.
Cool. Sebastian Sanchez, how can people find and support what you've been working on?
So right now we have a Discord that we're trying to build up a community for. That's our Omniox Entertainment Discord, where me and some of my friends just post updates on our games and host playtests through there. And also working on building up our Facebook page, the Master Tactician Facebook page.
Nice. I have been Evan Halbert. Oh, I forgot to say at the beginning. Go buy 56 copies of After the Empire. And then we're going to come out with an expansion at some point. Actually just played it again. Every time I get to play it with the developer, we just have a blast. But that'll come out at some point. And then in a few more games coming out in the next couple of years, buy all of those, multiple copies of each. I think the next one coming out that you could possibly get in your hot little handies is Emily Willix's Bah Humbug. I made one of the extra designs out of that card set when she invited 12 other designers to make other games with her card set. So go buy a ton of those and support Emily and myself. And thank you all for coming and being here and supporting the game design community generally. Because not only are we, playtesting Sebastian's game tonight, people get to watch these and learn from them and be like, I could take that idea and put it into my game or make my game better with that. So it really is kind of a cool thing for the community, hopefully, I think. At least that's the goal. So I really appreciate you all coming on the show and helping out and making this work. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Evan.
All right, let's get the heck out of here.
All right. Thank you guys all for your time. I appreciate you all staying up, especially you, Brian. I know it's super late where you're at, but appreciate it.
All
And
right.
that was fun, super helpful.
Awesome. Good night, everybody. We are. Oh, and thanks for Sam for showing up and saying hi in the chat earlier.
Right.
We are